was we're going to give them a tie. Next thing you know, the scores come up, and everybody's looking around saying, oh, okay, our guy just lost. And there's really nothing you can do about it.
No, it's not.
Hey, guys, how are you? It's Mac and Black. It's Saturday. You know, when it's Saturday, you know that these two boys are going to be on. We're going to be talking that mess. And
here we go. All right. Yes. My bad. We have to share the show out.
Check it out.
Let the fans know that we're on. It's officially 6:06, so we'll be on for like the next 2.5 hours or so. We got a lot that's going on. Believe it or not, we're probably going to talk about a lot of sports that you didn't see coming. Because I feel like we had a really good hockey conversation for come on.
We were going to do dating advice, but then we
were going to do
in
dating
and
advice,
right? No, we should do sports. We should do sports.
I went out with a really good friend. We went to a Chama Gaucho. I am now hooked on espresso.
Oh, okay.
I am now hooked on espresso.
Is that straight? Just straight espresso?
Wow, my first day.
First day here, guys. Sorry.
My first day. Hold on, my bad. Yes. No, so
straight espresso.
Here's how cool Chama Gaucho is. So you get there. Obviously, you're maxing all the meats.
Oh, yeah.
And
No salad. If you have salad, salad over there, it's just so that the meat can go down a little bit easier.
The salad bar there
is good.
It's good. But it's not your average salad bar. Like when I hear salad bar, I'm thinking lettuce, egg, cheese, bacon. You go to Chama Gaucho, you got smoked salmon slices and big ass slices of tomato,
vegetables,
the green beans from the farms of France and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, bro, do you got some bacon bits I can put on this salad right quick? I just want some simple bacon bits.
You have to be bougie. You have to be bougie about your salad when you're over there.
Yes, dude, exactly. So at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, so you get there and you're eating and at the end, after you did max like 9 years worth of steak, they're like, "Oh, can I interest you in any dessert or coffee or maybe an espresso?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm starting to get the itis. I'll take the espresso, double it." So they come out with this little French wee glass, of espresso, and I drank that bad boy within 30 minutes.
Oh yeah,
bro! Me and old girl was at Emporium playing all the old school video games.
Oh,
so
that's a smart idea.
So from this day forward, I am about the espresso life. Yes, at 36, and before you blink, I'll be 37 in June. I'm trying to get this sophisticatedness out. I've done all the bar hopping and all the bar drinking and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm trying to turn a new leaf. Oso Negro is trying to turn the sophisticated leaf, and I feel like espresso shots is the way to go. Okay,
that's my go-to. I don't even drink coffee anymore. If I need to get up, my go-to at Starbucks is I do a quad shot because I'm crazy like that. I do 4 shots of espresso over ice with coconut milk and toffee nut.
And where's this from?
Starbucks. I don't even really like Starbucks coffee that much, but their espresso is amazing. Their blonde espresso is amazing as well. I usually bring it here because that sort of gets me. Like I said, that's the only thing that's the only caffeine I can drink anymore.
I think I'm gonna start kicking that off, and I don't even mess with Starbucks. As a matter of fact. While we're still on the subject of food, before we go into our amazing sports conversations,
yes.
Since everybody know I'm on the keto diet, it is no secret to anybody. I just read the other day that apparently Chipotle is flirting with bringing cauliflower rice.
Ooh.
I don't really for the longest time I denounced Chipotle because I didn't think it was that good. But because it's keto, it's probably one of the most keto-friendly restaurants you can go to.
Yeah.
I, at some point, have to lower the sword and go over to Chipotle. And they have been very keto-friendly as of late.
And surprisingly healthy, too.
It is surprisingly healthy, believe it or not.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is a shock. So, with that being said, if Chipotle does go to cauliflower rice, I am now inclined to really lower the sword.
I'd be interested, too.
And just might have to put $30 to $40 of my check to the side specifically for lunch for Chipotle.
Okay.
I'm going to have to. So, Chipotle stepping the game up. I don't do Starbucks, but if they're doing espresso shots like that, I'm all for it.
And if you like iced drinks too, just get a little bit of your creamer choice in there, and then just if you are obsessed with flavor, because that's the problem with 4 shots of espresso, is it's going to overtake it. So I do a little bit of toffee nut, a pump of toffee nut in there, and it just kind of, it's not flavor. You don't even barely taste it. You still taste the espresso, but just not as strong. It's perfect for me.
All right, that is going to happen Monday morning.
Run it.
That's going to happen Monday morning. Run it. I will let you know exactly how it tastes and how it goes.
Right.
All right, here we go. So, Steven, what's going on? He just said hi. And Steven, I'm so glad that you were on the line because Steven is my fellow Rangers fan.
Oh, my goodness.
And he and I were on the phone pretty much the entire game when I watched the Rangers. Peter slapped the Chicago Blackhawks up and down the United Center on Thursday. On Wednesday. Right. So, if you watched the show last week, Mike, God bless, Mac asked and said, could the Rangers please put the Blackhawks out of their misery so they could be sellers at the trade deadline? And through the hockey gods did they listen, and the Rangers put up a 5 spot in the third to beat the Blackhawks to remind them they need to be sellers at the trade deadline. Now, with that being said, Steven kept saying, Nick, can you please tell Chicago to fix the ice because the puck keeps jumping? And I said, who am I to tell these idiots how to do their job? It's not like it's their first day. Just the ice sucked for some reason, and you can't blame it was too hot outside because it was cold as piss on Wednesday.
This isn't the first time people have complained about United Center ice. I don't know what it is about it. Obviously, they play the Bulls there, but that's not an excuse.
No, it's not.
Pretty much like 90% of the teams in the NHL share a stadium as well, or share an arena as well. So yeah, there is a little bit of weirdness about the ice, but the weird thing was, man, it was the Rangers aren't exactly a powerhouse in their own rights. They're kind of in a similar, actually not really even a similar thing, because you guys actually have young pieces that you can sort of build around. You got Panarin, and obviously I texted you during the game about
Shesterkin. Yes, let's talk about that.
Yeah, that dude, man. One thing I will say is that I'm not a hockey like expert. I will never pretend to be a hockey expert. But
I'm trying though.
Yeah, me too. And also I watch a lot of hockey.
Kevin Weeks, count your days, dude. You think you and Anson Carter think you're the only 2 black hockey experts?
I was going to say, but they'll be looking sharp.
Count your flipping. Oh,
I like Anson Carter.
I'm not saying that they're not out there looking crisp.
Just watch your back.
They ain't seen me yet.
Just watch your back.
They ain't seen me yet. Okay.
But no, yeah. So I'm not a hockey expert, but I think especially when it comes to goalies, it's hard to sort of evaluate them unless there's shots on net.
Right.
But this Shesterkin guy, first of all, his movement between the pipes is very, it's reminiscent. It's almost like a Brodeur awareness of where the puck was. There was a point where Kirby Dach, and I think this is the one I texted you on. It was a point where Kirby Dach is directly in front of Shesterkin, and that's what you want to do against goalies who kind of have this sort of fluid movement between the pipes,
right?
And Dach is directly in front of him. The puck gets dumped in, and then next thing you know, there's a shot from the blue line. I think it goes off of one of the I think it was Zibanejad of the Rangers, and bounces in front of Shesterkin, and off the bounce he gets it. Beautiful reflexes. Pretty much like 90% of the league's goalies let that one in, and he didn't. And that was really obviously it was a coming out party for him as well, because even the goals that he gave up, it's hard to really put them on him, because the Rangers defense was sort of in the same position it was also in the same position as the Blackhawks, because the Blackhawks, kept having these very strong defensive stands, and the next thing you know, for the next freaking 5 or 6 minutes, they can barely keep the puck out of the opponent's zone. So it's I wasn't happy that we lost, but I was happy that the Blackhawks had that result so that we could sort of start to focus on the retool. And I was telling you this, I was watching the game yesterday, and let's say 2.5 periods of Blackhawks are playing like shit. and they are down 1-0. And all I can think of is the most Blackhawks Stan Bowman thing that could happen right now is the Blackhawks score a goal or score 2 goals and win this game. And what do you know? The Blackhawks score with like 5 minutes left to go to overtime, score in overtime, and the Blackhawks have won. They're not that out of it. Like on the, I think the Blackhawks and the Rangers are in the same position. Like
Rangers are right now 4 points behind the Canes for that final wild card spot. That's why that win yesterday was so huge for them.
Yeah.
The Rangers have scored 11 goals in the last 2 games on the road.
Wow.
Between Chicago and Carolina. And that kind of led me to what we put in the description of what I think the Rangers need to do at this point with the trade deadline coming is stand pat. You don't need to trade to improve your team, and you definitely don't need to trade to move pieces. Mm-hmm. For so many weeks, we've been worried about what's going to go on with Chris Kreider. Yeah. Chris Kreider seems to be the blue chip prospect of all the trade talks.
He was all over the rumor mill the last couple of days.
And especially in the game against Boston, where I had to sit there and listen to Milbury and Pierre Maguire, whatever his name is. I can't stand either one of those jackasses. It was just the biggest Bruins slop fest.
Yeah.
They
love the Bruins.
God national bless. It's like the Rangers couldn't do no right.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the way the Bruins talk on the ice. Oh, I love the way Pasternak's been playing this year. Tuukka Rask, even though what's his name, Halak was in there. Yeah. Oh, Halak looks so great tonight. The Bruins are a well-oiled machine. That's how it sounded like the entire time. And then here comes McGuire's stupid Elmer Fudd-looking ass was sitting there talking about, I know a guy that plays from the right side but shoots left.
I was going to say Kreider.
Another Kreider. But here's the thing. As of late, since the Rangers have won, first of all, the Rangers are 8-1 in games that Shesterkin has played. They should be 9-0.
Yeah.
No way should the Rangers have lost that game against Columbus where Shesterkin kept them in the game, and out of nowhere, the defense had that mental brain lapse and let, I think it was Foligno, go right to the net and pull one past Shesterkin. So they should be 9-0. They're 8-1. They're 4 points out. They beat Carolina last night 5-2.
Wow.
And they're playing San Jose, and I would have thought that at least Georgiev would have been in the net tonight, but Quinn's sticking with the hot hand. Shesterkin is young. He had like the last week and a half off from a bruised ankle, but he sure seemed fine them last 2 games. Mm-hmm. So he's going to ride the hot hand right now.
Yeah.
And I think that, and now it went from the Rangers trading Kreider to now between Gordon and John Davison trying to find room to re-sign this man.
Sure.
Because he's a restricted free agent at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So teams can match whatever, but the Rangers would be dumb to let a guy that big with that kind of speed, with that kind of stick handles, just go for first-round picks and this and that. Because, I always love doing parallels on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And this Rangers team eerily reminds me a lot of the 2017 New York Yankees.
Okay.
If you look at that 2016, that's the year where the Yankees just sold all the house. They traded Chapman. Mm-hmm. They traded Andrew Miller. They traded Carlos Beltran. Now, the packages they got back in turned into Gleyber Torres, turned into Clint Frazier, turned into Justice Sheffield, who now turned into James Paxton. So it all has been great, but in 2017, the Yankees weren't supposed to be good. Mm-hmm. They were supposed to be 3rd or 4th place in the AL East.
Yeah.
All they did was roll this insane way to Game 7 of ALCS.
Yeah.
I feel like the Rangers are in the same position because I've always been saying all year that the New York Rangers are that one winning streak away, and they do this every year. Well, they'll win like 9 out of 10 games or like 10 games in a row, and then they'll put themselves in great playoff positions, and either they're going to build on it or like last year, they'll fall off. Well, the way that Shesterkin is playing and the way that it seems like a lot of the guys are starting to now get continuity with Panarin, with Kreider, with Trouba, with Adam Fox, with Tony DeAngelo. All these guys, now it seems like everybody's now starting to get flow. And now, Lindy Ruff, who I think is still the worst coach on his staff, somehow has now got this team listening. And then David Quinn, his style is starting to come in to where now you've won 8 of 9 games, and the only loss you had happened to be against the Boston Bruins, who are really good. So I think the Rangers right now need to stand pat. I don't think it's a smart move to trade Kreider for a bunch of what-if first-round draft picks. And I think that as they keep winning, the team that we thought wasn't going to do anything, at least not this year, could end up somehow sneaking and making some move in the playoffs if this wave keeps going.
Yeah.
And I think it's at a point to where if the wave keeps going, to where the Rangers are going to have to really make some moves to keep Kreider because you want to keep that chemistry, kind of like with the Blackhawks and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, you had Kane and you have my bad on that, Steve. And you have Taves and you have Kane, and now you start putting all this talent around them and you build that chemistry to where a team wins 3 cups in 5 years. And I feel the Rangers are slowly but surely on that quest, man, and that's why I think they need to stand pat. I don't think the Rangers need to make any kind of moves. And while I'm still on the subject of them, before we move on, I saw an article the other day if Henrik Lundqvist is getting the Eli Manning treatment because for the first time in his career, yesterday he was a healthy scratch. And I'm saying this.
Because he doesn't want, it seems like he's resisting trading.
He does not want to leave New York.
Yeah, he doesn't want to leave New York. And sometimes you got to make tough decisions because he is a New York legend, but sometimes you got to make tough decisions.
Look, Ray Bourque was a Boston legend, but he and the Bruins knew that they were in no shape or form going to win a cup in the last 3 years of his career. Yeah. So they did him a favor, and he laid down the sword, and they traded him to Colorado, and he finally went out to go get what he wants. I think Henrik Lundqvist is kind of in that same boat, but at the same time, he's taking the Eli Manning route. He's never complained. He never said anything, and he's been there for the young goalies. But at the end of the year, if the Rangers are talking about we want to buy you out because we're not going to trade Georgiev and we're not going to get rid of Shesterkin, and now we can't carry 3 goalies, you're going to be the odd man out. Yeah. So you reach the buyout. Does Henrik Lundqvist chase for the ring? Does Henrik Lundqvist stay in New York? Does he maybe play more like a goalie coach role because he loves the Rangers organization? Does he not want to leave? Like, I'm not sure what's in his mind, but the reason why I wouldn't say that Lundqvist and Manning are in the same breath is because David Quinn didn't take out Lundqvist because he was trying to save his job or he's on the fence, and if the Rangers don't do well, then that's flipping it. No. The fact is that Henrik Lundqvist is a step slow. And when you have the young kid that every Rangers fan has been hearing so much about, and the man, as of right now, has been worth every bit of the hype that was around him, and then you have Georgiev, who is a formidable backup at that, you got to go ahead and take the C. Yeah. Where with the Giants, dude, what's his name? Pat Sherman was such a joke of a coach. He did it to try and save his job, but didn't realize that the entire New York Giants team just sucked as a whole. Right. So you can't. The situation seems similar, but I don't think it's the same.
How far? I mean, you know, I think the thing with Manning that made it so clear was, I think, you know, because people were giving him credit for the way that he handled the Daniel Jones situation, which I do give him credit for, but I think he knew he was done. Eli did. So let me ask you: how do you think that? Henrik would be kicking the tires on retirement after this year, or do you think he still thinks he has a couple years left?
I think, me personally, I think he's kicking the tires of retirement.
Okay.
You know, if Henrik Lundqvist was still a starter, and the Rangers went to him and said, "Look, you're doing great." Yeah. But we're not in line to win a cup. See, it's different from like Marty Brodeur because the Devils won 3 cups while he was the goaltender. If Henrik Lundqvist had 2 cups on his belt, or maybe the one when we lost to the Kings in 3 overtime games, which I'm still confused on how we pulled that off. I think this situation would be different. But I think with Henrik right now, I don't know if he feels as if his skill set is what it was when he was the Vezina Trophy winner back in 2012. Right. And I don't think that he feels that he's in a position where if he went to like maybe a Florida, or if he went to
Vegas,
Vegas, or maybe a Toronto, or, you know, maybe these other teams that are in better positions to win where they can use his skill set, I don't think he feels his skills are there. Because think about it like this. Why would you be so gung-ho to stay in New York
when you know you're not going to really be a a factor.
Bingo. And you know good goddamn well that the New York Rangers are in the quote unquote rebuild.
Right.
And you now got 2 goalies in front of you. You would think that if you knew you had 2 or 3 years left in you,
would
bite
right
the bullet
now.
and you'd be like, you know what? Okay, trade me to contender. Thank you for everything. When I'm done retirement, I will come back in like some type of coaching or leadership role for the team because you guys are still in my heart.
That's the reason I asked, because in general, especially when it comes to guys of the caliber of Lundqvist, if you do have that 2 or 3 years left, you're savoring that and you want to be able to play. And it seems like right now he's okay with not playing.
Exactly.
And being okay with not playing usually means, again, the writing's on the wall, and you're already kicking the tires about ending your career. Which, again, it would be an amazing career for him.
Minus not having the Cubs.
The Cubs, yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, right? With the way that in the era of hockey that he played in, of the Penguins, the Blackhawks, and the Bruins, the Kings and the Bruins, these were sort of top heavy for almost 2 decades. It was top heavy.
Yep.
And next thing you know, Lundqvist he squeaked in there a couple of times and got close. And then I think at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, the especially in hockey, because the salary cap is so it's tough to work with, man.
Yes, it is.
It's crazy. You mentioned it before, and I think I've mentioned it as well. The top guys in the league are making $10 or $11 million a year.
Yep.
And you've got guys in in pretty much any other sports league that are making close to that are mid-level guys, maybe playing 10, 15, 20 minutes a night. So, I think it's in hockey more than ever. You've got to make quick decisions. And that's why the Blackhawks are in such a shit position right now.
Right.
Because they have been waiting for so long to do anything. Again, they're just enamored by the fact that this team was so good for so long, and trying to keep just trying to sort of latch onto that. And now you find yourselves in hockey hell.
Steven just told me the Rangers scored just for 5, an assist from the Bread Man. Rangers up 1-0.
And by the way, because we didn't say it on air, first of all, that was a cool puck drop. I don't know if you saw it, but I think it was O'Callahan, and then it was Breadman and Kane, and they were sort of playing with each other. And then Panarin after the game says, I thought I was going to play with the Blackhawks for the rest of my career. He did also say, that shows how much inexperience I have. He played outside of the country. He didn't really realize the dynamics, because free agency is sort of an American sport thing.
Yeah.
Free agency, that's not even in basketball in Europe and stuff like that. It's very rare to see this sort of shuffling of players from one team to the other. And I think when he signed the bridge deal after he got traded to the Blackhawks, I think he thought, man, this team's amazing. They're transitioning. I can be a part of this thing. And next thing you know, he spends a year and change with the Blackhawks and gets traded over to Columbus, back to Columbus actually, in hopes of Columbus wanted to keep him, and they just knew they weren't. He knew he wasn't going to stay in Columbus. I think he started making an excuse about the weather, about this and this and that. At the end of the day, he wanted a storied franchise with a chance to be perennial contenders every single year. And clearly, the Blackhawks couldn't offer that, because they couldn't. They could offer him, the level of play, but they couldn't offer him the money that he needed. And then the teams that did offer him, obviously, you mentioned it too before. The Islanders offered him more money, and he decided to go with the Rangers. Clearly, saw a lot more in what they were doing, and good for him, because the one thing I will say about Panarin is his game has grown.
Yeah.
He's came into the league, and actually for Columbus too, that was the big complaint when they traded him, was that he's one-dimensional. He only plays one side. He's only an offensive guy, and he doesn't really have a lot of grit. He's kind of used to this sort of touch-and-go type of hockey, and he changed his career. He actually changed that dynamic when he came to the Blackhawks. He was fighting dudes. He was hitting dudes. He was forechecking. He was a very, very sort of two-way player, and now you see him even in the game against the Blackhawks. You see him making cross-ice, rushes, and obviously, he is his vision is really, really good for a guy who's that good at scoring. He could legitimately be a guy that will be a points leader for 10 years in the NHL. So, yeah, you could tell I'm reminiscing about missing the bread man, which that was sort of the it's crazy because Blackhawks Twitter and Blackhawks Reddit is so beaten down by this point that they're not even sad anymore. We're not even sad anymore about this. We just like kind of take solace in knowing that maybe in an alternate universe, Breadman might have stayed and might have been here for 10 years, but that didn't happen. And next thing you know, right now the Blackhawks are in a shit position, and they left Eric Gustafsson at home. I told you that he's an unrestricted free agent. They're doing their best right now. There was a news yesterday that they had traded for an amazing goalie prospect, Ilya Sorokin from the Islanders, and that was sort of buzzing it for 2 hours on Twitter. And the guy who reported was like, "Oh, never mind, my bad. That didn't happen." So now the Blackhawks are sort of back at square one. We don't know if they're going to trade Corey Crawford. We don't know if they're going to trade Robin Lehner. We don't even know if the Gustafsson trade's happening. He just stayed home. He could not get traded, and then it'll be an awkward sort of thing. All right, you got to play the rest of the season now, Gus. Sorry. So yeah, tough couple weeks for the Blackhawks.
I want to get into the NBA because
that's a lot of hockey. We just talk a lot of hockey.
We did just drop a lot of hockey knowledge right there, dude. I'm telling you, Anson Carter and Kevin Weeks, count your days. Count your days.
Watch out.
So the All-Star weekend came and went. I kind of got fired up because you said let's talk about the All-Star weekend and in particular the robbery for the second time of one Aaron Gordon. And let me go ahead and just put this on record that outside of the Chicago Bulls, the team that as a Knicks fan, the team I hate the worst in the NBA is the Chicago Bulls. A close second, and this isn't even up for debate, are the punk-ass, bitch-ass, dumb-ass, stupid-ass Miami Heat. I cannot stand them. I cannot stand their fans. What happened in Chicago, Derrick Jones Jr. winning that dunk contest, is tomfoolery. Foolery.
Yeah.
How does a man do the same windmill dunks 3 separate times? I feel the same way about Zach LaVine when he won his.
Yeah.
He did one windmill dunk. Then he did the windmill dunk from the free throw line. Then he did the same windmill dunk a little bit behind from the same spot that he was with, and somehow those were all 50.
Yeah.
When Aaron Gordon 3 years ago went with the full sit down, ball underneath,
both legs,
all over, slam, it was over.
Yeah.
That should have been it.
Yeah.
Unless Jesus himself was coming down onto the court and you were doing a dunk over Jesus.
Himself, yeah.
He was not. There's nothing Zach LaVine could have done to get 50, and they robbed Aaron Gordon the first time. This man jumped over 7'5" tackle fall while he held the ball and even brought it down low because he felt what's-his-name's nuts on the back of his head. And you still gave Derrick Jones the slam dunk competition with the same stupid-ass windmill dunk 3 times?
Yeah.
Dwayne Wade ought to be disappointed in himself. And then I love how Heat fans are like, well, you said it's just a dunk contest. Get over it. That was highway robbery. That's why. Come on, man. And so Aaron Gordon came out. I was like, that's it. I'm done. I've been robbed twice. I'm done.
I don't blame
him. And I don't blame him.
People were talking
second.
shit about him saying, oh, he sounds like he's like being a spoiled loser. No, it's a guy who has won. He said it himself. He said it perfectly. I feel like I should have 2 trophies right now, and I don't. And I'm done. And honestly, dude, first of all, after he did Gordon did the off the side of the backboard, one arm grab the ball, the one where he goes off the side of the backboard and one arm grabs the ball, and that should have ended the contest.
Yes!
It should have been done. And you know, I loved what Kenny Smith and everyone was saying. This has to be a tie because at this point you can't. Because this is before the sudden death dunks.
Right.
Before the sudden death dunks, it had to be a tie because nobody could do, like, you can't give it to one of those guys. Now, they go to the sudden death, and Jones goes and he pulls out the kind of free throw line, but not really free throw line.
Right.
Here's my thing, dude. If you're gonna do free throw line stuff, do it from the free throw line.
Yep.
He could have made that dunk from the free throw line.
Yep.
The way that I'm not a fucking physics major, but watching the video of that, he did it a step ahead of the free throw line, which, by the way, it's the worst thing you can do.
Right.
Because even Zach LaVine, I was very upset when he did that. Because it's like, do it from the free throw line or don't do it. Because it diminishes and it makes it look like a regular dunk. So when he pulls out that windmill from the free throw line, it doesn't look as great. Now, I have a feeling, if we watch because there's a couple dunks that happened that night where you're like, that was an all right dunk. And then you watch the the replay and you're like, damn, there was one with Pat Connaughton. He bounced when you watch it in full motion, you're like, that was all right. And you watch it in slow motion, he bounces the ball off the backboard and dunks it.
Right.
Dope as hell. Really awesome. That's what he needed. What he needed was to do it from the free throw line for them to be so impressed that they were like, yeah, this is the dude. Instead, he does that sort of mediocre dunk, and then Gordon comes back with a banger, another banger. And what really did it for me was that, there was obviously a conflict of interest there. Derek Jones and Dwayne Wade, and then I told you this, I got more upset about of anything is that during that last dunk, clearly the judges were trying to share their answers and calculate some sort of score. And I believe 3 judges gave that last one for Gordon a 9. And that was just embarrassing because, first of all, if I don't know what his windmill from the free throw line got. I want to say it was like a 48.
Yeah.
I think it was like 2 9s. He got 2 9s. If that's a 48, then what Gordon did after that was at least a 48. I chalk it up to a math error, to be quite honest. I think they were trying to calculate it so that would be a tie, and because they couldn't go to sudden death after that. I think there was only one sudden death round, and they wouldn't be able to go after that. So I think they were trying to make it a tie so both guys get the trophy. And I think just by the looks of everyone, but I do have to admit, Dwayne Wade was kind of shitty that night. I watched it over again that night on NBA TV, and he gave a couple of dunks 8s and 9s that should have been 10s. And it's funny now, the new meme on Twitter and Instagram is like Dwayne Wade gives that a 9, because it's like you get this $20 million house, beautiful marble all over, and it's like Dwayne Wade gives that a 9. So I personally I thought, okay, Chadwick Boseman and Common. Listen, don't get me wrong, love Black Panther. Common's one of my favorite rappers of all time. Let's get basketball people in
Please.
there. Let's get basketball people in there. I know Common and Boswick are both, basketball adjacent, but I don't expect Chadwick Boseman to understand the differences between a 48 dunk and a 50 dunk. Dwayne Wade, Candace Parker, and there was another Chicago guy who was a sports guy, because there was 5 judges. So, I was thinking,
it's going to kill me who the
yeah,
other one was.
and I can look it up first. But that's what bothered me the most is clearly the judges just were not on top of this shit. And another robbery for Aaron Gordon. I really feel bad for Aaron Gordon.
I do too.
You, dude. That was an amazing show. He deserves 2 trophies, and he has nothing to show for that. That's embarrassing.
Yep. And then
let me look it up first too.
Yeah, please. But here was the coup de grace of the NBA season or the NBA All-Star Weekend. So, if you watched First Take, I guess apparently Zach LaVine was on First Take. Mm-hmm. And then not only was Zach LaVine on First Take, I guess a question was asked about Garpax and something about John Paxson and this and that, to where it prompted Bulls fans to chant, "Fire Garpax."
They were doing it all weekend, by the way.
They
were doing it all weekend.
Now, with that being said, that Monday after the game,
Scottie Pippen was the other one.
Was the other one. Thank you, Scotty. Scotty out there with the perm in his head, looking smooth.
I know. Yeah, he looks not a day under 40, which is crazy.
Second off, dude, huge. What is Michael Jordan doing nowadays? He could bring his greatest of the all-time ball-head ass to Chicago, where he won 6 titles and maybe taking Hardwick's spot.
Can I give you a conspiracy theory? Because
you know I'm about that life.
We love conspiracy
I am about
theories.
that life.
Can I give you a conspiracy theory, Nick? I think that there is a secret beef going on between Jerry Reinsdorf and Michael Jordan.
Okay.
I think, obviously, we all know the story. It's beaten to death in Chicago. Jerry Krause, GM of the team, has a chance to keep the dynasty together, but one thing leads to another, and nobody comes back after that 98-99 season. And basically Jordan wasn't able to be retrieved. You were able to sort of keep a couple of the core guys around for a couple of years longer, but they ended up leaving too. And then we had the era of the Bulls that nobody will forget, of just being bottom dwellers for years, and the baby Bulls and all of that. I have a conspiracy theory that I think now that Mike is a owner, he's not first of all, he's never been an ambassador of the league. Let's be honest.
True.
He's never really liked to represent the league. This to me, that stinks of a guy who has skeletons in his closet. I say this about political candidates all the time. First of all, we don't like to do political shit here, but let me just give an example. Mike Bloomberg is a billionaire who has never lost in his life, has never been told no in his life, because he's a billionaire, and he's a guy who thinks he could buy everything because he's got it. And what does he do? He sees that Bernie Sanders and all these people are fighting for the Democratic nomination, and in November, 3 years in the making, he buys his way into the race. And when he did the debate on last Thursday, he looked like a guy that was like, oh, why did I do this? Because, by the way, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders went right after the dude. They were like, dude, you're literally the Democratic Donald Trump. Like, why are you here right now? And he looked like a dude who had skeletons, who was like, fuck, I should probably think. And after the debate, he was like, because they kept mentioning like girls who he had NDAs with. He's like, well, I can release them from those NDAs if you'd like, because those were just comments and I'm not scared. I never sexually harassed anyone. And a day later, his campaign was like, yeah, maybe we're not going to do that. We'll see. So again, it reeks of guy with skeletons in his closet. And I think the same thing of Mike. Mike, I don't think the whole gambling thing was true. I don't think the mob killed his dad. There's a lot of things about
right. I've heard about that.
Mob killed his dad because he had ties with the mob. I do believe he did have ties with the mob, because in the 90s everyone did.
Right.
So there was this big thing about that we have verified connections with him and the mob, but we can't really trace it that far to them killing his dad. But I don't think so. But it's possible it happened. But I think from that point, Mike shut down, and he knew, first of all, staying relevant in the league, all he had to do was be an owner. So that's why he took on the Wizards. Let's be honest. The Wizards to him were not a business venture.
Hell.
He wasn't trying to make money off of it.
Right.
He obviously played for the Wizards, and there was that big thing, but it was a big hoopla about, oh, this is where he's from, and he likes the area, and oh my God, he thinks the team is going to be, and it really was all bullshit. It was all basically a way for him to say, I could still play. I could have came back to the Bulls, but I didn't. You see me here on the Wizards. I'm going to end my career with the Wizards, when everyone knew I should have ended my career as a Bull. I think there's secretly something there with him and Jerry Reinsdorf that we don't know about. And I also think right now he has that same mentality of being in the spotlight too much. He'll inject his name every now and then. He'll throw out a quote. If there's something going on in the league and people want to hear about it, he'll throw his 2 cents in. But otherwise, he's cool where he's at. And I was surprised by that too. He's a Chicago legend. There's no excuse for him to not be involved. Like, right. He should be involved. He should be on that panel. He should be on that judge panel.
Because, all Michael Jordan did in his career was, I don't know win 2 slam dunk contests.
And be iconic for his dunking.
Ones.
Yeah. I personally think, okay, yeah, maybe Jordan isn't the most like, okay, I'm gonna put myself out there type of guy. But, dude, you're a legend in the game.
Yeah.
You're a legend in Chicago. That was a no-brainer, and he wasn't even in Chicago. Like, it would be one thing if, some guys, they like to be in the crowd in the first row, second, third row with their family, fine. He wasn't even in Chicago. There's something going on. He's clearly got a beef with the Bulls organization that we don't understand about. And the only constant right now is Jerry Reinsdorf.
Yeah.
Because all of the guys are gone. Jerry Krause is gone. All of these guys he had vendettas against are gone.
Phil's gone.
Phil's gone.
Tex Winter's gone.
The only guy that's left is Reinsdorf.
Yeah.
And by the way, Reinsdorf could really give a shit about the Bulls right now. He doesn't care about the Bulls right now. He cares about the White Sox. And, that's something. Listen, as a Bulls fan, dude, I know there's a lot of Bulls fans who give him a lot of shit about that and want him to sell the team. I don't think he's a problem. First of all, I think what happened was he has too good of a relationship with John Paxson.
Yep.
By the way, can I give you a crazy stat? John Paxson is the third most tenured basketball operations guy in the league. Third most. You want to know who the first two are? Pop and the second one's escaping me. He's been around for fucking 15 years. These two guys that are on top of Paxson have championships on championships on championships. I'm going to look it up now.
I want to guess this.
Guess it. Yeah, guess it.
You said for 15 years?
They've been, I think both of them, because you have to think about it. Paxson's been around.
It's not Pat Riley, is it?
It is Pat Riley.
There we go.
It is Pat Riley.
Yes! Genius! That's why you listen to the show.
Yes, sir.
This is why you listen to the show. Genius. You cannot go on me one-on-one when it comes to sports trivia. I will rock the show.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
yes.
The best, who the best front office guys in the league are. Pat Riley.
Yes.
Popovich.
Yes.
And John Paxson.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so the Bulls right now are in the same position as the Blackhawks, ironically enough.
And let me say this. It sucks that it took the Bulls fans to go on national ESPN TV to say fire Garpax for the younger Reinsdorf to be like, you know what?
Let's think about this.
Maybe we should evaluate what's going on.
They had a billboard up years ago. I mean, they know about this. They know about Fire Garpax. This has been around for so long. The problem was it embarrassed the team on All-Star Weekend. And how it embarrassed them? Not necessarily on All-Star Weekend, but when ESPN came to Chicago that week and they were doing the first takes and they were doing the live stuff, NBA stuff in Chicago, all you saw was hashtag Fire Garpax in the background. Some guy screaming in the background. Stephen A. Smith behind him. He's got a Fire Garpax sign all over the freaking place. And next thing you know, and the worst part is, the best thing that you can have in a front office person is somebody who you don't know about. You know why Daryl Morey, even just before this, let's say before this whole China situation that they got themselves into, but before the whole Daryl Morey thing with China, nobody knew who the fuck Daryl Morey was. He was one of the best GMs in the league, and nobody knew who he was. That's what you want. You want somebody who, I don't even hear about this guy. That's how good he is.
Right.
And Daryl Morey is that. There's a couple other examples in the league of that. And the worst part is, one of the most recognizable names in all of NBA, Garpax, is recognizable because they're so fucking terrible at their job.
It's bad.
And we as Bulls fans should be embarrassed because the problem is the team is making money right now. And trust me, I'm not going to cat for Jerry Reinsdorf. I don't like Jerry Reinsdorf. I don't want people to get this idea that I like Jerry Reinsdorf, I'm defending him. No, I've said this to you before about Dolan. You can change every person in your operation from top to bottom. You know the person you can't change? The owner.
Yeah.
Okay? You can't do anything about your owner. And what I will say is the Bulls and the White Sox, both franchises who have gone through long droughts between being good. And Reinsdorf has clearly said he's on the horizon here. In the next 2 or 3 years, he's going to start thinking of a plan. He already has a plan. You mentioned Michael Reinsdorf, who for some reason is still involved. I don't know. He doesn't have any qualifications other than being Jerry Reinsdorf's son.
Right.
Which just goes to show, in this country, all you got to do is have the right last name. You just got to have the right last name. You got to have the right dad. You got to have the right uncle, the right, in-laws, and that's it. Nobody says shit about it because Michael Reinsdorf has been around for 20 years doing nothing, not being qualified for his job. And by the way, the Bulls are notoriously bad at operation stuff too. They constantly have people getting hurt. You almost killed Luol Deng with the spinal tap. You misdiagnosed. Let's just, I hate bringing up the past. Let's just bring up stuff from this year. Otto Porter is hurt during the preseason. He's telling them, I'm hurt. They're telling him, nah, you're fine. You'll be back in a couple weeks. Everything in the preseason saying he's back in a couple weeks. He hasn't played a game this season. We have 24 games left, Nick. He hasn't played a game yet. This team is so inept from top to bottom that even firing Garpax is just one step to getting this team right. You have to fire pretty much everyone, clear house. And honestly, I'll be honest with you, Nick. I'll ask you, since you're a non-biased person, who on this Bulls team can you see being on this team when the Bulls are good? Meaning, we know the Bulls aren't going to be good for, let's say, another year, maybe 2 years before they can really start to talk about being good. If we're lucky, year or 2 years.
You said 2. So
let's
we're going to give it 2 years?
Let's say 3. Let's say 3. Who on this team is crazy enough to stay? Because let's remember, Lauri Markkanen's on his rookie deal. Wendell Carter's on his rookie.
I think he's good. Okay, that was the name I was kind of
okay.
It's maybe Wendell Carter.
Wendell Carter. Okay.
But I think that's kind of where the list stops because they're already talking about should we trade Lauri Markkanen.
And Markkanen's already said he doesn't want to come. He doesn't want to come back.
He's going to
test the market. Yeah.
Is Kobe White going to be as good as you thought he was going to be?
Exactly.
I could see them trading. What's the one guy I got on my fantasy team?
Otto Porter? No, not Otto Porter.
Is it Saturansky?
Yeah, but again, is he going to be around when they're good? He's good now, but is he going to be around?
How many years left is on Otto Porter's deal?
He's a free agent after this year. Or no, he has a player option after this year, so he's going to come back next year. Nobody's going to give him $25 million.
I was going to say that's kind of by default because there's no way he's walking out of that contract.
Exactly.
And even if the Bulls wanted to move it,
who's going to take it? Let's remember, we traded Bobby Portis and Jabari Parker for Otto Porter. Neither one of those guys were going to come back, so we went out of our way to take on this contract. He's not going to. He's gonna opt in next year. So you have 2 years left to him. Zach LaVine. You only have 2 years left of Zach LaVine until he's gonna be thinking about 30, maybe $30 million some odd dollars in free agency in a couple of years. So again, I stress to Bulls fans when people say, "Well, I mean, all we really need," like I still see people just hanging on to this, that all we really need is a coach, and then maybe just get us like another 2 guard, and we're good. Guys, we're not good. We're not going to be good. This team, as it's currently constructed, we're watching tape for other teams because Lauri Markkanen is not coming back. And by the way, Lauri Markkanen is not even really that great. Like, if you're asking me as a Bulls fan, are you super upset about Lauri Markkanen? Not really, dude. The guy is okay. We overdrafted him. Like, he's a guy who you thought, I'm going to make him Dirk. And he came into the league and he's not Dirk.
Oh, I'm going to make him Porzingis.
I'm going to make him Porzingis. Not even Porzingis, because even, like, here's the thing, dude. Say what you want about Porzingis. He could play on defense. He's a dude who could hold his own on defense, even when he was skinny. Remember, he came in the league and he was like literally this thin.
And that's what everyone was getting on about. That he's gonna have to put on weight.
He's gonna have to put on weight, but he was still blocking shots. Yep. He was still chasing guys. He was still able to hang with. It was crazy. How was he? 7'1"? 7'1". Yeah. He was still on the perimeter guarding 3 or 4s. Lauri can't even drive the lane effectively. He can't stay in front. If anybody posts him up, I mean, Montrezl Harrell made him look like First of all, Montrezl Harrell's like 6'8".
Yeah.
He's a strong power forward, and Lauri's 7 feet. He's sort of in the mold of what should be a shot blocker, and Montrezl Harrell just abuses him, not with power even, just with finesse. And that's how you know a guy is just not there yet. And Lauri Markkanen is just not there yet. And right now, clearly the Bulls are not going to be there for quite a while. And it's time to think full-on rebuild from Boylen to the training staff to Garpax. And I'm going to be honest with you, we have to start thinking as Bulls fans to stop supporting the team. Stop going to these games because let's be honest, the Bulls are still profitable. The Reinsdorfs are doing good. They're not. And by the way, the Reinsdorf's got in big trouble with White Sox fans over the offseason because a quote resurfaced from Jerry Reinsdorf from like 20 years ago where he says, you want your team to be constantly in second place. That's where you want your team because they're always going to give hope that the next year is the year they get there and that the fans are always going to be there. And that's a very 1980s Douglas DeLima.
Dude, he's been rocking him this whole fight, bro.
That other guy, by the way, there's absolutely no reason for him to be in there. He's a guy who fought Greg Hardy. He looked terrible. I don't know why this guy keeps getting fights.
And now he's going to sit there and act mad that was a quick dude. He was knocking your ass out the entire fight.
By the way, we're watching UFC. They're in New Zealand right now for Dan Hooker and Paul Felder and Douglas DeLima. Oh my God, 2 behind the ear and then another one behind the ear.
He's out.
He was out. I don't know what he's complaining about exactly. Those are illegal shots and I don't know what exactly. I think he might be saying back of the head, but dude, that's a hook that just hooked a little bit too much. So Paul Felder and Dan Hooker will be fighting, and then perfectly timed after that should be the rematch, the highly anticipated rematch between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. A lot of people saying this is the most anticipated especially heavyweight boxing fight since Lennox and Tyson in 2001, was it?
Yeah.
So almost 20 years since they've seen this type of buzz, and I'll be honest with you, I'm very excited for this fight.
Yeah, me too.
That's why we're keeping a close eye on UFC. We've got it on here, and then obviously I don't think we'll be even going late enough to be able to watch it. Watch the fight, Wilder fight online.
There are some comments here in the chat.
Yep.
Let's see. Angelina was showing me love on my knowledge. Hell right.
This guy knows what he's talking about, huh, Angelina?
Believe it or not.
He's not bad.
She was saying that Bloomberg is too soft-spoken when you was talking about Bloomberg earlier.
Yeah.
Stephen Waldman was saying that the Bulls and Knicks are in the same position. The Knicks suck and they sell out every home game. That is fact.
But I would challenge you on that because what I will say is the Knicks have a lot to be excited about. The Knicks can still think, okay, Julius Randle, all right, fine. But you have Julius Randle for the next 3 years now. R.J. Barrett is still more exciting of a prospect than the Bulls have on their whole roster.
Right.
And on top of that, you're going to have financial flexibility. Yep. The Bulls won't. The Bulls next year are not going to be able to buy anyone.
And let me tell you this, because the Knicks find themselves in a very precarious position because there are actually a lot of Knicks fans, and Julius Randle actually did this yesterday, even though they lost to Indiana, are backing Mike Miller.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of guys, because
Ariel Helwani said he wants them to make him a full-time offer.
The rumor mill is that with Leon Rose now kind of being the new president, and the Knicks brought in this new guy to rebrand the New York Knicks, like James Dolan hired this dude to put the New York Knicks back on the top market.
He's the agent. He's the agent for CEA.
Yeah. So even though the Knicks are the number 1 grossing basketball team, because James Dolan just keeps getting richer by the year. For as bad as they've been, people still go to the games. And so you got Leon Rose, who's got a lot of ties to a lot of guys in the NBA. But the rumor mill is that he wants Tom Thibodeau to be the coach of the Knicks. Ooh. And now Tom Thibodeau expressed coaching the Knicks when Melo was here when he was fired from the Bulls.
Yeah, and he loved Melo.
And he didn't go because stupid dumbass Phil Jackson wanted somebody to figure out the triangle, and then out of the clear-cut blue, it became Derek Fisher, and then absolutely nobody, here comes Jeff Hornacek. So while Tom Thibodeau was, doing what he was doing in Minnesota, whether it be positive or negative, we could have had him here in New York.
A lot of people were saying he sat out a year. A lot of people were saying he was sitting out for the Knicks, remember? And then the Timberwolves came out of nowhere that offseason.
Yes, he was waiting for the job, and freaking Phil Jackson at the time wanted a triangle guy. Oh, God. I never knew Jeff Hornacek was a triangle guy to begin with.
He wasn't.
You know what I'm saying? So I think now that you bring in this guy, and now I can't believe that there's actually going to be a who's going to coach the Knicks coaching debate between Mike Miller and Tom Thibodeau. Yeah. Like, I would say the common sense would be hire Tibbs.
Yeah.
Keep Mike
Miller,
as the bench coach.
Yeah.
If these guys listen to him, but Tom Thibodeau's the defense and has actual head coaching experience.
Yeah.
Look, I'll be honest with you. I'm for either one because Mike Miller obviously kind of knows what he's doing with the roster that he has because David Fieldsdale was such a joke. And I understand, like, maybe like the roster, his rotation sucked balls so bad.
And apparently it was his idea to sign all those power forwards, right? They were saying that he was telling
word on the street.
He was telling them he wanted all those power forwards because he wanted to play positionless basketball. That didn't work out too well.
Right. It didn't work out too well at all. So I'm personally am on the fence of bringing in Tibbs because I know what I can get out of Tibbs. Tibbs is a proven winner. This is the same guy that had Derrick Rose not torn his ACL against the Sixers. Lord knows how good that team would have been.
Could have won the championship.
There's a great chance that they was going to give the Heat the biggest run for their money, and the Heat may have come up short. Yeah. That could have happened.
Yeah.
But Tibbs was the coach on that team. You know what I'm saying? And you know, look how good Minnesota is not since Tibbs left.
And let me say, remember there was this big talk in Chicago about Tibbs runs everyone through the ground. Look what he did to D. Rose. Look what he did to Joakim. Look what he did to Luol Deng. And everyone who retired from there said, nope, that wasn't the case. The Bulls' medical staff was so fucking terrible that's why these guys had injuries. So Tibbs doesn't run people into the ground. And contrary to popular belief, Tibbs actually does have a lot of leeway for veterans. They get days off. They get their rest days. You know, I think what's most, like, for example, Mike Miller was coaching G League before this, okay?
And was G League Coach of the
Year. Yeah, and that team is it Westminster? What?
No, Westchester
Knicks. Very notoriously a good G League team. But the problem is, everyone really likes him now because he's sort of putting the pieces together on this team. Mm-hmm. But the problem is, this isn't what the team's going to look like next year,
no,
right?
It's not.
I mean, you know, you're going to be losing 4 to 7 players this year, and you've only got maybe like 2 or 3 core guys. So at the end of the day, if you have a chance at Tibbs, you have to take it because that guy. What I will say about Tibbs is this: if Tibbs had everything he needed to work in with the Bulls, let's remember, Tibbs wanted to draft Draymond over Marcus Teague.
I wanted to bring that up because that Reddit post you put on there, I read every one of them.
And I was so like, bad.
And I'm sitting there thinking like, man, I thought my team was a screw up. Nah, the Bulls don't hold a candle to what
he wanted to draft Draymond over Marcus Teague.
Right.
He wanted to bring back Ron Adams. By the way, they fired Ron Adams for no reason. He's one of the best defensive coaches in the league, was one of the architects of the Golden State regime, the whole Golden State dynasty. A lot of people say Steve Kerr, he calls plays, but Ron Adams is who runs the fucking show.
Right.
And they just fired Ron Adams for no reason. And by the way, all he did after he left was win 3 titles with the Warriors. What else? Tibbs wanted to play a little bit more positionless basketball before there was even positionless basketball. The Bulls said no. What did they do? They decided, no, we're going to continue with what we do. And by the way, we're going to actually make it so that we need Derek even more.
Right.
Because that's what Tibbs wanted. He wanted to cut this reliance from D. Rose. He wanted D. Rose to be the centerpiece, but also he wanted to have depth behind him where they could just be good even if they had to play 80 games without Derek.
Right.
And I'm telling you, Tibbs, when he has the pieces, he knows what the fuck he's doing. And Minnesota did the same thing to him, by the way. They hamstrung him very badly. And now we know, by the way, Andrew Wiggins, maybe he's who Jimmy Butler was talking about when he was talking shit about everyone. People were thinking it was Cat. Now there's people saying it wasn't Cat because Cat, you know, it has a good work ethic. And Jimmy was very upset with the work ethic specifically of some of the players on the team. And we know now that Andrew Wiggins fell out really hard in Minnesota and got traded for D'Lo, partly because they were really upset with the way that he was conducting himself off the court. He wasn't working hard enough, wasn't practicing hard enough, and when he showed up in games and he had good games, he thought that was a way for him to get off and not work hard. So if you can get Tibbs in the right position, he should be a president of basketball operations,
yes.
By the way. He should not be a head coach. He should be what Minnesota made him, which is go get your players, tell us how much money you need, we'll make it happen, go get your players, and let's see how these things go. I think the Knicks should hire him.
I think they should too. Shoot.
And Mike Miller, listen, no offense, Mike Miller, but come on, dude, just be happy. You know, take the bench gig, and if somebody calls you in the offseason, I'm sure the Knicks will let you talk to them. Go ahead.
Go right ahead. I'm with that. I've always said, what's the name in San Antonio?
Becky Hammon? Yeah,
Becky Hammon.
I like Becky Hammon too.
That's another good one. But I don't know, dude. I just found it hilarious that the Bulls now all of a sudden care about the team because they were utterly embarrassed all weekend during the All-Star festivities.
And they haven't even done it, by the way. They haven't done it yet. They haven't done anything yet. People are talking about, oh, yes, we finally did it. What did we do? We didn't do shit. Everybody's still employed.
They just talked about it.
They just talked about it.
That's about it.
What the fuck are we talking about here?
Yeah, they just talked about it. They brought up the fact. Thanks to ESPN's First Take and the Bulls fans finally stepping up.
We appreciate you.
No, not even so much the Bulls fans are talking that this regime sucks. Yeah. It's the fact that now, oh my God.
National media.
We're on ESPN and now they've clowned us. Mm-hmm. We've got to do something now.
And the worst part is, you know what Paxton's plan is? Hey, I know they're saying fire Gar Pax, but how about we just fire Gar and I'll stay around?
Well, I mean, Paxton, but think about what kind of under the table handshake deal did they make of that when they promoted him from GM to president basketball operations in the first damn place.
And you know why? It was just because Jerry didn't want anything to do with operations.
Yeah,
he just was like, let me get a guy that I know can handle. Because, by the way, John Paxson is respected in the league because he does make okay decisions here and there, but he's not a president of basketball operations. He's a guy that you would be okay with on your GM team, maybe being a GM, that's fine. But he's not a president of basketball operations, and Gar Forman does not deserve to be in a front office. I talked about fucking Tony Snell. I mean, like, the Marquise Teague, some of the the running joke in like 3 or 4 years ago was like the Bulls are going to have the best player available on the board and they're going to choose somebody from New Mexico instead, or Iowa, or Iowa State because of fucking Hoiberg. Iowa State, the reincarnation of Magic Johnson is on the board, and the Bulls, this is an obvious pick. All right, the pick is in with the with the third pick in the NBA 2013 NBA draft. The Chicago Bulls select some random white guy from Iowa State. And it's like, what? And it's like, what are we doing here? And that was a running joke.
Meanwhile, on Green Street, with the fourth pick in this year's NBA draft, the New York Knicks have selected Cole Anthony. That was supposed to be the guy we were supposed to get. And damn it, Garpax. And then you know what Garpax reminds me of?
Yeah.
Do you remember the year when Cam Cameron drafted Ted Ginn Jr. with the 10th pick of the Miami Dolphins?
Yeah.
And they booed the
so
total
badly,
piss out of him.
Yeah.
And he was up on the sideline. Yeah, Ted Ginn's a great guy. You're going to like him. Trust me, that idiot didn't last 1 year in
literally
Miami
because of his 40. They drafted him for his 40.
And bam, they fired Cam Cameron quick as hell.
I mean, props on recognizing Ted Ginn because he's still in the league, but he wasn't worth the 10th pick that year.
No. If he was a first rounder, you were still smoking crack.
Can I pause you on who I think is the second finest UFC fighter other than Antonina and Valentina? Is Karolina Kowalkiewicz. She's on this card. She is so fine to me, and I love her in the octagon. We'll see her in the pre-fight, but she kind of just puts her hands behind her back and leans against the cage like,
hey, hold on a second.
Kind of like Masvidal.
I'm being told there's no sound.
Uh-oh. Steve, you back there?
No, I hear us.
Okay,
I hear us. Hey, Steve, let me know if you can hear us, bro. Because I just turned it up on the phone. I can hear us.
So, Karolina Kowalkiewicz. I'm going to show you her when she comes out.
All right. So, where was I? Oh, I was making fun of the Bulls. Okay.
We both were.
Yeah. They're like, so that's I was talking about what's his name? Cam Cameron. Because when the Bulls went out and traded for Otto Porter, they was doing the same stuff where they was like, well, I knew that we weren't going to get some of the big free agents out there, so we feel that Otto Porter fits what we want to do. Come on, dude. This guy somehow conned the Washington Wizards and paying him a 4-year, $115 million max deal. Mm-hmm. And like idiots, when they realized they did something stupid, the whole front office was sitting there like, oh, my God, what are we going to do? We cannot get out of this contract. God, if there was a team so stupid to take this contract, please May he call on our phone right now.
Not only.
Wait a minute.
Hey, it's John Paxson.
Hello. Hey, this is John Paxson of Chicago Bulls. How you doing? Oh, I'm doing great. What's going on? Well, we're looking at your roster, and
I'm gonna cut to brass tacks. Yeah, I'm gonna cut the brass.
Let's cut right to the chase. We like Otto Porter, and we don't care what the price is.
Like, put it on mute for a second.
Yes,
put on mute.
Yeah.
The whole room goes crazy. Okay, all right, everyone, all right. Unmute.
So, what do you want to give up in the deal? Well, I have Bobby Portis. He's not going to be with us very much longer. He's a free agent at the end of the year. All right, hold on a second. Mute. I think it's like $15 million off the books.
Okay. Good enough. Yeah.
And maybe we'll throw in a couple, maybe a second round draft pick. Okay, hold on. Maybe we can flip that.
I think we can do that. It's fine.
You know what? Yeah.
We just signed Jabari Parker to a 1 year,
$25
million deal.
Hey, John. No. And then like John's like, hey, hold on a second. Yeah. Oh, and we just gave Jabari Parker a $25 million deal. We don't think it's gonna work.
But you could
take him, and then that 25 will go off your books just so we can get Otto. And they're like, hold on, we got to mute again. Guys, this guy on crack. Are we being punked?
Ask him for a first rounder. Ask him for a first rounder.
Yeah. Hey, should we? Like, no. Don't sweeten the pot too much. He might back out.
Yeah, he might think we're unmute.
All right, John. After much consideration, we'll accept the deal.
Let's get the paperwork in as soon as possible.
And everybody and their mama gets that ESPN notification. The Chicago Bulls have agreed to deal for Otto Porter Jr. for Jabari Parker, Bobby Portis, and some future second round pick.
And you know what
and Chicago had to be sitting there like,
but that's
we have to be getting punked.
That's the thing that bothers me the most because I was actually one of these guys when we traded, and that's my girl, by the way. She's fine.
Is she from the same country?
She's from Poland. No, she's from Poland.
I was gonna say.
Kovalkiewicz from Poland. She's fine. She was actually in Chicago when I went and watched them in Chicago. But the thing that bothered me the most about the whole Otto Porter thing was when they made the trade, it didn't look bad on paper because Bulls fans were thinking, well, we're not going to bring back Bobby Portis. We're not going to bring back Jabari Parker. And we'll get 3 years of, by the way, Otto Porter just so happens to be one of the most efficient players in the league. Very good player, just not deserving of $26 million a year. So when the Bulls got him, we were thinking, you have Stockholm Syndrome. If you don't know what Stockholm Syndrome means, it means like you've been kidnapped, and now you've been kidnapped for so long that you're starting to sympathize with your kidnappers, where you're like, I know they kidnapped me 2 weeks ago, but I'm being kind of a dick, I'm not eating the food they're giving me. You know what? Maybe I should just be a bitter kidnappee because, I know they kidnapped me, but still, like, I feel bad for them. I'm not being a good, I'm like leaving a mess in this room. No, So that's what Bulls fans became because when they gave us the bullshit excuse of, well, we're not going to bring back Jabari or Bobby, and we're not going to get anybody in free agency, so we might as well choose a guy we want, and we chose Otto. And if you're a Bulls fan, you're thinking, yeah, sure, okay. Like, because you're a kid, you've been kidnapped. you're like, oh, yeah, I guess I have made a mess in here, and I'm not eating the food they're giving me. So have you ever seen Saving Silverman?
I have.
One of my favorite fucking movies of all time, and in that movie, they kidnap the girl and they have her in the basement, and Jack Black's character, one of the funniest fucking characters of all time. Jack Black's character goes in there and he's playing to sort of have this, I'm gonna fucking kill you, and he goes in there, he sees this beautiful lady, and he just kind of gets enamored with her, and next thing you know, he starts off trying to fucking grill her, and then a day later he's bringing her RBs, and he's like, you want curly fries, or you want to, and that's sort of what we are at this point. We are just kidnapped in this hellhole, and we're just trying to work with what we have. And by the way, Otto Porter's going to accept a player option. He's going to come back next year, and you're going to have to hope that you have something in him because, by the way, he's going to hamstring your free agency. Even if you did have money, no one's coming here, but now you don't have money. So what are you going to do?
And it's so funny because we all know that New York is like the number one market in probably in the whole world, and we know that Chicago by definition is the third largest market in the world.
Is it LA? Is LA?
LA is number two. So it's New York, LA, and Chicago. And like what kind of kills me is you got guys like what's the one in Brooklyn? Kevin Durant, who comes out and says, "Oh well, the Knicks aren't cool like they used to." Like all of a sudden, the Brooklyn Nets just come out of nowhere. Jay-Z buys 2% of stock. Illuminati's. And speaking of conspiracy theories, I was discussing this the other day. Illuminati's the hell out of the Brooklyn Nets. Now all of a sudden, now the Brooklyn Nets are like the second coming of this dynasty basketball team.
And they suck this year too, by the way.
Next to the mecca of basketball in New York. And I know, apparently a judge dismissed. All right, this is what kills me. Oakley sues James Dolan for this defamation, whatever. And like what drives me nuts is that everyone was pissed off at James Dolan because James Dolan, okay, let's put it like this. Let's say if I came to your job, right?
Okay.
If I drove up to Rosemont and came to your job.
Okay.
And I go into place and I said, Mac, you suck at your job. Piss off.
Yeah.
You're a total POS. How do you have a job like this? Why don't you quit and flip burgers at the McDonald's right here down the street on River?
nice McDonald's location.
There is no way in hell you wouldn't call security and say this man needs to be thrown out.
Yeah.
So why are we all flipping out when Charles Oakley did the same thing to James Dolan and James Dolan told him, get your ass up out of here?
Well, I mean,
no offense. No owner wants to hear.
Yeah. I think here's my opinion on because I do slightly disagree because what I will say is this. As an owner, you have to have thicker skin.
Okay, true.
Than Dolan does. I'm not going to argue with that. But what I will also say is Oakley, first of all, he was not upset about Dolan per se. Oakley was upset that the Knicks aren't better with Knicks alumni. That's what Oakley is upset about.
Oh, I agree with that because Patrick Ewing should have been our head coach a long time ago.
He started pointing out to people that how come every fucking franchise in this league has alumni there every night on the court honoring somebody. Somebody's doing this and somebody's back in the organization and this person who played for us for 10 years is now the ambassador, but the Knicks are the only organization that almost shuns their past because, again, they don't have, other than a couple of really good stints in the 90s, don't have a lot to show for it. But at the end of the day, I do understand what you're saying because Dolan does have that power, but my problem is like Dolan, you got to have thicker skin than that, my man. Like I don't agree with Oakley, but my problem with Oakley is like if you have a problem with him, have a problem with him, but your problem is with them not bringing back alumni, not bringing back guys and respect him. He said he deserved an honoree or a ring of honor. Listen, dude, like you're being petty too. Both you motherfuckers are being petty.
Yeah, two grown ass men
talking about.
Now he tried to sue Dolan. The judge.
Which is even more petty. That's like petty to the max.
And then the judge dismissed it, and then I'm on Facebook reading this stuff, and the comments are like, "Oh, and I thought the Knicks were supposed to rebrand themselves." The judge is probably like, "Guys, stop it. This is stupid."
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Well, when that whole thing happened with Isaiah Thomas and that girl, they settled out of court." This is nothing to be settled about. You're upset because you got flown out because James Dolan didn't want to hear you sitting there ragging
that was sexual harassment.
Dude, that was some sexual harassment stuff that Isaiah Thomas apparently can't keep his hands off anybody. So which is it's totally different. Sorry, we're not even the same stratosphere of what happened between James Dolan and Charles Oakley. But when I'm sitting here listening to all this nonsense with the two and what happened, I was like, can you guys please shut up? Because like, no offense to you, Charles, if you had a problem with what James is doing, I don't know, here's a great idea. Why didn't like a grown man be like, yo, James, can I pull you off the side and talk to you? Like, maybe we can do this, this, and this. Yeah. This is why I think the best thing that could happen is that the Knicks got this guy that can help rebrand the team. You bring in Leon Rose, who's got ties to everybody and their mama apparently in the NBA. There's rumors, like you're talking about Tibbs being president of operations, a.k.a. GM. There's reports maybe Allen Houston is could be in position for that role. And then you got to start from the top down. Dude, James Dolan is a lot like Jerry Reinsdorf. As much as Reinsdorf don't care about the Bulls, he's the owner and all of his attentions with the White Sox.
Yeah.
Dolan could give a rat's ass about the Knicks. All of his attentions with the New York Rangers.
And he's playing with that band, and he's like, dude, I don't give a shit.
And now there's reports that maybe James Dolan has his hand in that pool that wants to buy the New York Mets.
Oh,
because
wow.
that saga's not going to come to an end.
No.
Because Dolan's name came up.
Oh, wow.
A-Rod's name came up. And as of yesterday, they say that Steve Cohen is not going to quit to own that piece of that New York Mets team. So somebody other than the Wilpons is going to be owning that team. And they asked, I was listening to New York radio when I was door dashing last night, and they asked, like, hey, would you mind if what's his name was your owner, James Dolan? He's like, I wouldn't care. James Dolan's bringing in that money that the Wilpons won't spend.
Yeah.
And they was like, I hope that we get Rangers James Dolan and not Knicks James Dolan, which is legit. But again, this is, okay, let me put it like this. James Dolan, in my opinion, has so much bread to where he can go and focus on the Rangers because maybe he's more of a hockey guy. Realize that the Knicks came in the package deal, and he just keeps saying, look,
we'll take them.
Look, I'm going to call myself the owner of the Knicks, and I'm going to sign the checks, and I'm going to do ABC, XYZ.
Yeah.
But can y'all please run this team so my
name
can stop?
Leave me out of it.
And that's what Leon Rose is supposed to be at this point.
Yeah.
So hopefully all these little moves that he's doing will finally make the Knicks to at least come back to be that team that used to win 45, 48 games. It was a guaranteed shoe-in, and shut Kevin Durant's goofy head ass up, acting like all of a sudden Brooklyn is the mecca of basketball. You about to have the biggest rude awakening in your life when you come back next year.
And by the way, Kyrie's out for the season now too, so they're going to be garbage.
And you know who I feel worse out of all this is Kenny Anderson, because I think Kenny Anderson is a good coach. I think the job he did with Brooklyn last year, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And your boy the Brooklyn Nets went out there and signed two names, one that thinks the earth's flat and one that didn't even have an Achilles so he could walk. And if you guys think that all of a sudden the Brooklyn Nets are going to be this team of the East, ooh, do you have another thing coming?
I mean,
that's all I'm going to say.
There's already people saying, well, they'll be back next year. It's like, yeah, but I mean, I know they're getting KD back, and I know they'll get Kyrie back, but they won't have money to spend over the offseason.
Something tells me that I don't know how much I feel about those two.
I personally think that them two will be fine. The problem is what's going to happen when shit starts to go bad, because both of them are known quitters. Like both of them are known runners. Yeah. Kendrick Perkins won't leave Kyrie Irving alone about what he did with Boston because, he's right. Let's be very honest. I will give credit to Kyrie Irving. The guy talked about, how he wasn't in a good environment in Boston and da-da-da. But that's also in a very entitled viewpoint, right? That like, oh, I don't like it here, so I know I made a promise, I made a commitment here, but I'm going to do what I do. And okay, fine, people are going to hate you for that. And Kendrick Perkins still fucking hates Kyrie for that. He won't stop mentioning Kyrie about how he's a joke and this and this and that. And let's be honest, Boston, dude, that was a blessing in disguise because Kemba looks really good right now in a Celtics uniform. That team looks pretty darn good. Yep. They look like they'll compete in the playoffs. And let's be honest, I mean, the East right now is a super crapshoot because as much as you want to think that the Bucks are a no-brainer and the Heat are a no-brainer and you have to start thinking really deeply about what the level of competition is in the East and what the level of competition is in the West. Because in the West right now, the Trailblazers are out of the playoff picture. There's a lot of really fucking good teams in the West right now who aren't even close to the playoff picture because the teams are so damn good out there. And honestly, dude, that's the only reason why I'm starting to think about reshuffling the way we do the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, dude, I can't get this out of my mind that an 8 seed in the West can compete with a 1 or 2 seed in the East. Right. It's just very hard for me to wrap my mind around that level of competition. That disparity is so hard to understand. And just to put a bow on that Oakley thing, I think the real reason why Oakley is so adamant about this is because of the support he got around the league. Yeah. Remember when he got kicked out and everybody was on Twitter, yeah, Oak, you tell him, Oak, we got you, Big Oak. Even NBA players were saying, yeah, Big Oak, you deserve respect, da-da-da. And Oakley said, oh, shit, all right, everyone's got my back. I might as well move forward with this shit. So I think at the end of the day, winning cures everything, right? So, the Knicks just have to win. And like I said, the Knicks aren't in the worst position in the league right now. You've got a lot of teams, especially in the East. You've got Charlotte, you've got Chicago, you've got a couple of separate teams right now that are in basketball. Atlanta, but I will say this about Atlanta, dude. You got some stuff to be excited about in Atlanta.
That's true.
You got some stuff. Even like Orlando, you got stuff to be excited about in Orlando. But like, you even got stuff to be excited about in New York.
I feel the moves that Dolan. Again, Dolan just needs the one guy just to run the team. Mm-hmm. So that his name just stays out of the news. That's all I think he wants. Because if you're going to be real about it, the only time that James Dolan really had his hand in anything that's Knicks related was when they traded for Carmelo.
Oh, okay.
Outside of that, James Dolan, 9 times out of 10, is just signing the checks. That's why you bring in a Phil Jackson.
Yeah.
You know, a 11-time NBA head coach that should know what he's doing.
Yeah.
And when did James Dolan's name really come out of that? When he had to fire him. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think with Leon Rose. But let me tell you something. I'm glad you brought up the Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay.
The Milwaukee Bucks, in my opinion, will go really far the day they fire Mike Budenholzer.
Oh, really? Not a fan?
This is why.
Okay.
Let's take a look at Mark Budenholzer's resume over the last 5 years, maybe. Mm-hmm. What was the year that Atlanta went 61-21 and had the best record?
Yeah,
in the league?
that was the year they had Al
Horford, Jeff
Teague. Yeah.
How did that second round go?
Not very well.
They got swept by what was it, Cleveland?
Cleveland, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last year, you had the best record in the league.
Mm-hmm. With Budenholzer. Mm-hmm.
With Budenholzer.
Mm-hmm.
They get bounced 6 games out in the Eastern Conference Finals by Toronto after you were up 2-0.
And let's be honest, that team looked really, really different than the team that won 70-something games.
Thank you.
Too.
I just don't trust Mark Budenholzer.
Yeah.
Mark Budenholzer is the guy. Okay, it reminds me of Jeff Garcia. One of the biggest people used to hate when people would leave, like, Jeff Garcia is such a great quarterback. I don't understand why everybody wants to get rid of him so bad. Because Jeff Garcia was a guy that would get you to the mountain, but he's not helping you climb up to put the flag on the top.
Right.
Budenholzer is the same way. I'm not saying that the Milwaukee Bucks suck. I mean, they're really good, but they're a good regular season team. Because every time Mark Budenholzer finds his way in the playoffs, there's that one time where you think they're ready to get over the hump, and they don't. Like, no offense to anybody, but that team that swept, that Cleveland team that swept that Atlanta team, Atlanta technically was better talent-wise than that LeBron team, because all that LeBron team had was Love, James, and Kyrie. That was it. That Atlanta team had Horford, Teague. I think Josh Smith was still on that team. There was so much talent on that. They didn't just win 61 games by accident.
And I want to say, if I might be mistaken about this, but I don't even think that was Kevin Love version of the Cavs. I think that was you know what? No, you might be right about that. But,
yeah.
But my big thing is, like, how good would a guy like Tibbs look on the Bucks bench? Like, a guy like Tibbs. Because the thing about Budenholzer is what he did in Atlanta was, a lot of people were saying, was because of the GM who put those types of pieces around, which, yeah, you could say that. But also, Budenholzer didn't win them many games. His system is also very safe. My problem with the Bucks too is they play a lot of one-on-one game. Like, I'm not a fan of that in this league now. If you're not AD, if you're not LeBron, if you're not Kawhi, there's no reason for you to go one-on-one every single time up the floor.
Right.
And yeah, I get it. Giannis is a fucking beast. But to say that Giannis should be playing this Swiss Army knife role where he's playing point guard, he's a shooting facilitator, he's also the rebounder, he's also our shot blocker. Like, Giannis can't do everything, man. I am telling you, Giannis is, I will give a fucking prediction right now. Giannis is going to be thinking about leaving the Bucks if they don't think about putting real guys around him. Not fucking Chris Middleton, not fucking Brook Lopez, not I know they tried it. Like the worst thing that really killed me last year
is it Matthew Dellavedova's stupid ass on
and George Hill.
Yeah,
it's like, dude, you can't get a real fucking point guard for this guy. I mean, even Eric Bledsoe to a certain extent, you're not even a point guard, my dude. You're just a guy who's a very athletic, combo guard. So the Bucks, I'm not, if I'm anybody in the East, like, I'll be honest with you, dude. If I'm in the East, I'm more scared of Miami or Boston than I am of Milwaukee. Because, dude, Miami, dude, I'm telling you, once they figure that out with Iggy, and then you got Jimmy Butler with Bam Adebayo, and you've also got Goran Dragic, you've got a couple of different facilitators. They've got good shooters, Tyler Hero off the bench. They've got a lot of shooters on the bench, actually. Right. And then you look at Boston with Kemba and Tatum constantly getting better. And now Jaylen Brown is all of a sudden looking like Jaylen Brown that you were hoping he would be. And then you still have Hayward, and you still got Enes Kanter, and
Jason Tatum.
These are like stacked teams. And when you're looking at Milwaukee, you're like, okay, Giannis and Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez.
It's going to eerily be like the LeBron James situation when he left, the first time. That's what it's going to seem like. Because remember, LeBron was crying for help.
Yeah.
So what did Dan Gilbert get? Amari Stoudemire is out there just asking
waiting.
to leave Phoenix.
Yeah.
LeBron.
We got Amari on the phone now.
How you doing? Dan Gilbert, what's going on? What's going on, brother?
Uh-huh.
So look, we can't necessarily get you Amari. We feel like the asking price too high, but we may have the next best thing for you. In comes walking in the door, Antoine, old ass, past my prime, Jameson.
I know.
At that point, LeBron had been like, "All right, do F this, I'm out."
If there was never a bad or never a better example of putting lipstick on a pig than that situation where
LeBron James, if you go back in that playoff series, the last one he had in Cleveland before he went to Miami,
the looks he was giving these guys,
he was done.
And by the way,
by game 3, he knew he was out. There's no way he was coming back.
We know how the media loves to jump to conclusions, right?
Right.
Like the athlete says something, and boom, the media is on that. And I'll be honest with you, Nick, they missed something over the All-Star weekend. Because what they missed, and by the way, I want to talk about the All-Star game because I know we're running out of time here, but I want to talk about the All-Star game with you and what you thought about the format and everything like that, and then we could talk about our Wilder Fury stuff too as well. But I do want to, because the big thing, especially when it came to All-Star weekend, was okay, everyone's going to get media time, and Giannis had mentioned that he has brothers in the league, one that's playing on his team, one that's playing on the Lakers. And the funny thing is, somebody asked him, which is such a bait question, Giannis, like, could you see it, like, wouldn't it be awesome to play with your brothers one day? And he said something that people didn't really catch on to. He said, yeah, I'd love to have them in Milwaukee. I'll go to L.A. or something like that. And I looked at that and went, did he just say he would go to L.A.? Like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Right.
Go to the Clippers? You going to go to the Lakers? Like, what are we talking about here? Because if I'm in Milwaukee, I'm nervous about that statement. When you're saying... When you're mentioning our team secondary to another team and saying, yeah, me and my brothers might play in LA, might play in Milwaukee, who knows? I'm thinking, God damn, this guy's already. And by the way, I think he's still got a couple years, 2 years left on his deal, right?
Giannis?
I
think so, yeah.
So I think he's still, it's not going to be next year, but still, we know how quickly that shit can happen. It happened with AD. Remember, we were just talking not too long ago about how AD was in New Orleans and, oh my God, they got to lock him up. And now, he's basically playing on a contract year with LA. And by the way, no signs of them getting the extension done by the extension deadline. So he's going to be free agent this summer.
AD.
Yeah. Again, we talked about this when it first happened. Handshake is all well and good. But if the Lakers don't win the championship this year, and I don't know. I can't even think of a scenario right now. Let's say the Knicks. Knicks say, AD, we got RJ here. We got Julius Randle here. We brought in Tibbs. Tibbs thinks really highly of you. And by the way, AD also mentioned how he respected Kawhi for not coming to the Lakers because he said he could have ruined the league because we would have fucked up the whole league with Kawhi. And I think that made me think even more, maybe he might leave because, dude, some guys don't have fun like that, being second fiddle like that.
And let me ask you this. Wouldn't you want to get out of the West and go to the East.
With how competitive it is.
Thank you, man. I never understood that. Everyone was like you get these big name free agents. It's, I want to go to Golden State. I want to go to L.A. Clippers.
Yeah.
I want to go to L.A. Lakers. I want to go this and that. I know that this is far-fetched.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say, and you just mentioned it, but let's just say if AD did come to the Knicks.
Okay.
And let's say, if not next year, so what is this, 2022.
Okay.
Let's say the Knicks just make the finals. Not so much win it, but make it. Do you know how much your stock and brand would go up? Because it's just New York. Yeah. Because you're with a team that hasn't won a championship since the 70s. Mm-hmm. And they've come close twice, but no cigar. And you are finally the one guy that gave the Knicks a chance. And you let Leon Rose and everybody, and you bring in Tibbs, and you sell them that, and you say, we can give you all this money that we got free. And you somehow either go to the finals or win the finals with New York. Do you know how much a god you would be in the NBA if you pulled that off? And I know it's a lot put on somebody's shoulders, but I'm just saying, outside of Toronto, Milwaukee for the time being, Boston and Philadelphia, and I guess we'll mention the Heat, dude, it's pretty much wide open after that. Yeah. I would come to the East and have instant gratification and maybe an easier path to the championship. They keep staying out in the star-studded West and end up getting bounced in the first round by God knows who.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. And look at it like this. Even when Anthony Davis was in Los Angeles, there was still a lot of talks on how close he was to accepting a deal with the Knicks, and he never downplayed that he would never come to New York. And as you mentioned, if he doesn't want to play second fiddle to LeBron James and he wants to be the man, how much more of a man can you be going to New York? You would be second fiddle to AD would average 40 in New York. I know it sounds dumb as hell, but he would average 40 in New York.
Yeah, and he could probably bring somebody with him eventually too. Like you wouldn't have to wait too long.
Yes, but it's a no-brainer.
The one thing that, because I have a buddy at work who's also a Bulls fan, but he was talking about, well, what about the Bulls? I'm like, okay, we don't have the money for that. But he was saying, well, isn't he a part of Clutch Sports, which is Rich Paul's agency, which just so happens a lot of people think that that's basically LeBron James' agency, Clutch Sports. He recently joined Clutch Sports, and they had a big retreat in Chicago. They had a Clutch Sports retreat in Chicago where they did in a swanky Hilton hotel downtown or something like that. And apparently saying that, the whole thing about Anthony Davis not signing an extension is just a ploy to get more money, and basically
that's what I've heard.
Yeah, that basically saying that the Lakers are hoping to lock him up at a rate that is team friendly, and basically Rich Paul and his team are saying no, we're not doing anything team friendly because let's be honest, dude, that whole team friendly shit that only works out for so long.
Yeah,
ask LeBron how team friendly worked out in Cleveland. Let's ask Brady after this offseason how well team friendly worked for him in fucking New England.
Yep.
All the dude did was get them to fucking Super Bowls, and every single year you hear in the news, Tom Brady's restructured his deal to give them a better cap. It's like, dude, and all of that now is leading to the fact that Tom Brady's like, dude, I'm a free agent now, and fuck the Patriots.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go find out who wants me, and that's why there's a lot of stuff in the media right now about Las Vegas, a lot of stuff about where he could go. But that's what I'm saying. This is where this whole being team friendly deal, that's where it gets you, man. You're not showing your loyalty to your athlete, and your athlete's not going to show loyalty to you.
Man, we got some guys on. Jerry Reebstock saying that Ben Simmons. Well, earlier he made a Sixers comment. Okay. I lost it because I flipped out, but he said that Ben Simmons apparently is D'ing up Giannis tonight. Nathaniel McWhort just got on. Thanks for joining the show, guys. We talked pretty much hockey and basketball. We've been talked the All-Star weekend so far. Aaron Gordon getting screwed. The
and
Bulls,
I do want to talk about the format.
Let's talk about the format, though.
So basically the format of the All-Star game did change this year. And if you watched the All-Star game, it was a competitive game. I'll say this. I was a really huge fan of it until the fourth quarter, and I'm probably alone on this, but I was not a fan of the fourth quarter.
Right.
I thought that was way too, that was too much. That was to another level. there's competitive, and then there was that fourth quarter where, man, I can't lie. If I'm a Lakers fan and I'm watching that game and I'm seeing how competitive it is and how close contested every single shot, every single play is, I'm worried about my players, dude. Because this fucking game means nothing to me. It means absolutely nothing to me as a Lakers fan because I'm looking for a championship this year. And LeBron fucking, being D'd up by Giannis that way in the fourth quarter just isn't my cup of tea. Now, what I will say is, Chris Paul said something really amazing was, this was a perfect year to do a game like this because this was like a Kobe Bryant type of all-star game, right? This was like Kobe was looking down and smiling on this game because clearly this was his version of what the all-star game should be. He came out and said it in I believe it's the Gentleman. I'm starting to get into more basketball podcasts. All the Smoke with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson's good. There's another one with Quentin Richardson and Darius Miles. I think we talked about them before. And they had Kobe on for a really, really good interview. And in that interview, he basically said that he wasn't a fan of the format and that he just wanted more competitive games. But I have a sneaky suspicion. I hate to be this guy to put words into somebody who's not here's mouth, but I have a sneaky suspicion that even Kobe might have thought, that was a little bit too much because at some points you're looking at guys diving on the floor, guys are falling on the floor. I know we don't want the All-Star game to be a dunk contest. I know that. I know we don't want to see zero defense. But I like the pace of the game the first three quarters. I thought the first three quarters was a nice pace. It was a nice balance of competitive basketball with showboating and playmaking. I like that. But that fourth quarter was a little bit much for me. And I also I'll be honest with you, Nick, I was a little bit weirded out by the whole charity factor.
Yep.
Because it was like you had these kids who are, by the way, these are underserved kids. They're from communities that are underserved.
Right.
And, you're almost like using them as a pawn in an entertainment scheme. Like, oh, we have two charities who really need money, but one of these charities is going to be really rich and one of these charities is not going to be. And I was happy because I knew something like this would happen, but Giannis came out after the game and said, I'm going to give $100,000 because, dude, let's be honest, $100,000 to them is fucking nothing, right? So he's like, I'll give $100,000 to match the $100,000 we lost for my charity. I thought the charity aspect was kind of weird, to be quite honest. I think it's weird whenever you're like, let's play for how much money I give to underserved kids. And you know what? If we don't play well enough in this quarter, you're going to be short $100,000, kids. Like, and then these poor kids who are in the crowd, like, Giannis, can you do something? Like, dude, what the hell, man? Our charity needs this. Like, we're an after-school program. Like, to me, that was a little bit much. I thought what it should have been was like extra, right? Each charity got $500,000, and whoever wins the third quarter would earn an extra $100,000. But to me, the whole fighting for the charities was kind of weird.
Stan agrees with your assessment on the fourth quarter, saying that was too much.
It's too much.
And Steven is letting me know that the Mika virus, that is Mika Zibanejad, tied up the game, and they're now 2-2 going into the third. And as I mentioned earlier, it's a big game for the New York Rangers as they continue their quest for a playoff spot with the trade deadline looming on Monday.
Wow.
So, all right. So before we get into baseball, I was asked earlier about if there's any WWE news. There's really no news necessarily. Andrade is still suspended. I don't understand how you suspend somebody and then let them keep the title till he comes back. I think that's dumb as balls. Other than that, though, there's really nothing big. Super Showdown's coming up here soon. If I'm home and it's on, I'll watch it, but I'm not breaking any appointments. In the words of Dave Chappelle, I'd already have to be free to watch it.
Yeah.
And then the Elimination Chamber's coming up soon, and before you know it's going to be WrestleMania. So,
wow.
First of all, I think there's way too many pay-per-views. First of all, I think there is, you know what? I lied. There is some WWE news, and it's going to screw a lot of people that have the network. Apparently, Vince McMahon is close to striking a deal with ESPN Plus to where now the pay-per-views will be shown on ESPN Plus. So instead of exclusively, so instead of now paying the network and watching everything on the network like you were doing, now you got to pay that $65 to watch it. that Vince McMahon might end up selling his soul.
Man,
which
he might lose my dad as a fan.
Which doesn't make sense, dude. You're worth billions of dollars. You're going to a super show in Saudi Arabia where the prince writes checks daily for $500 million flipping dollars, and you're gonna screw the fans by putting the stuff on ESPN.
Yeah.
Dude, bro, when did ESPN all of a sudden become these wrestling apologists?
You know what happened though? ESPN, because remember, ESPN, like when we were in broadcasting school?
Yeah.
That was sort of when ESPN was starting to take a dip down. And people were starting to respect ESPN a little bit less. The reporting was a little bit weirder. They became a little bit more slanted. Remember, they were like the LeBron network. Remember? It was like all they did was cover LeBron, and they were on LeBron's nuts. And every time, LeBron farted, you got a update from them. And what happened was when they lost their legitimacy, they started saying, oh shit, we need to bring people back for sports. Like similar to remember what MTV did. MTV was a music fucking television network. Right. And then what they did was they started to get into this sort of like reality show type shit, and people left. People just left MTV, and what MTV did was, okay, we'll find a middle ground. Let's bring people back with TRL and some of these other things, and that's what ESPN's trying to do now with this UFC deal, and apparently with this WWE deal. Listen, if you want to make it free on ESPN Plus, that's one thing, but if you want guys and gals to pay $65 for every pay-per-view again, I'm telling you, just wait until they start bootlegging, dude.
Yeah, that's all it is at this point. Just wait. I think the WWE's making a terrible mistake.
You just took money out of your own pocket. That's what you just did, Vince McMahon, thinking you were putting more in there.
And because I'll tell you this right now, there's no way Triple H co-signed on this.
Yeah.
No way. There's no way he co-signed on this.
Vince has got to be a little bit in the hole with this XFL stuff. Yeah, he's got to be in the hole with this XFL. Because remember, dude, ESPN is pushing XFL hard.
Yeah, they are.
Dude, they're on ABC. XFL was on ABC on primetime Saturday morning. Or Saturday afternoon TV.
Right.
To me, like, by the way, that's a $100 million slot. Like, that's not an easy slot to get.
Right.
That costs money. And by the way, not a lot of people are chomping at the bit to fucking watch XFL right now. So Vince clearly is in the hole right now with this XFL stuff.
I think at the end of the day, because this really kind of transitions us into the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I think at the end of the day, we have to stop trying to have all these football leagues because the American people
can't stand being away from football for 5 months.
God effing forbid that you watch a little basketball,
a little hockey.
God forbid you watch a little hockey.
Stay up on baseball.
Super God forbid you watch baseball.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so boring. It's so boring unless I go to the games. It's so boring. Blah, 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 blah. Dude, guess what we don't need? I don't need minor league XFL. That's what I'm saying. Like everywhere I go, like I got buddies inviting me to these XFL groups,
fantasy leagues, and
I haven't joined any of them because I don't care. Yeah. I don't care about the XFL. You know what I do care about, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit more next week. Mm-hmm. The NFL draft. That's what I care about. I care about the spring game that's going to be coming up for Florida State and some of these other spring games. That's what I care about. I don't care about Matt McGloin's him playing for the Guardians.
PJ Jackson.
I don't care about all of a sudden PJ Jackson's the XFL's Lamar Jackson.
You know what they're saying now? They're saying he's going to get NFL offers this year. I mean, let's be honest, dude. PJ Jackson wasn't even good enough to make the Colts, right? Now he's doing okay in the XFL, and now teams want to sign the guy. Like, I can't wait to see who signs this guy, because if it's anybody that's legitimate,
Jaguars,
but at the end of the day, if you're bringing this guy in to be a starter, what you've just admitted is we needed an XFL quarterback to fix our situation. You lost, no matter what the situation is. Yeah. And let's just be honest. The XFL, I like the jerseys. They look cool. The helmets are okay. Like, the aesthetics of it is all right. They're trying out some cool things for the NFL right now, broadcast-wise, ruling-wise. I think that is fruitful. But to push this thing like it's a fucking major league and put this on ABC, on Saturday afternoon, you've got XFL football on ABC. That to me is excessive. There's no need for that. And at the end of the day, let's be honest, these XFL players, they're getting paid $60,000. And then they're lucky. It's like basically like UFC type pay, where you get paid to show up and you get paid to win, and that's basically it.
Right.
So at the end of the day, these guys are basically just scrapping to make money. I feel bad for these guys in the XFL, because a lot of these guys, they go into the NFL, they get the practice squad money, maybe get a couple, maybe if they're lucky, they have a year on an NFL roster and maybe get a couple $100,000 in the bank, and now they're like, ooh, we're running low on funds now.
I'm telling you, dude, it's ridiculous, man, and it's just like it's. I don't need the XFL to be pushed. And what I also don't need is the 12 million statuses that's about it. Because who cares?
Who cares, yeah.
Like I tried, it wasn't last week, but I think it was the week before, when I tried watching one of the games on Saturday, and as I was driving in to kind of get a little glimpse of what all this hype is about, I was so bored I put the Spotify back on. It's just like, it's not entertaining, dude. Like,
when you have no
hype.
vested interest in it, it's like, it's just extra.
Right.
Football,
I'm trying to watch. I want to watch. I mean, the Knicks suck, but they're my first favorite team, so I have a diehard, unbiased loyalty to them. Or I'm not unbiased, but a biased loyalty to them, so I'm going to watch them even though they've only won like 13 games this year. The Rangers are red hot, and it's no secret that I'm a diehard New York Rangers fan. I'm worried about the draft. I'm focused on the Yankees this upcoming year. I'm focused on the entire baseball season this upcoming year. I don't need more football. Okay? America doesn't need more football.
No.
Which is why I am against transitioning to the NFL. This whole stupid, dumbass proposal they're doing about this 17-game schedule.
Yeah.
Can I please give a note to the NFL fans? This is my note to the NFL fans. Stop being stupid. The NFL preseason was never for the fans. Never. The NFL preseason, that first game of the NFL, is to get you to shut up about the NFL is now back.
Right.
Ooh, the Hall of Fame game, it's back. Ooh, we get to watch a little real football.
Exactly.
Ooh, there's going to be football on my TV on every weekend for like the next 20-something weeks. Ooh, I'm excited. That's all it is, okay? Then week two of the preseason is when you get that, the second stringers and the third stringers get now you got more practices under your belt. So now let's start opening up the game plan a little bit. Then the third game is the dress rehearsal where the starters will play a whole half. Then the fourth game is for those second and third stringers that are trying to get a spot on the team. The preseason is for team evaluation.
Right.
It's not for us. If it isn't broke, don't flip and fix it. If the NFL is one of the highest grossing sports of all the four major sports sets in America, stop messing with it. And it's driving me nuts. We got to add more playoff teams. And because the fans said, skip the fans, F the fans. I'm a fan, and I don't want you to listen to my dumb ass about putting another game in the schedule because I'm a smart fan that realizes that the product is fine as it is. I don't need an extra game. I don't need an extra playoff team. It was cool in baseball to throw in a wild card to make things interesting. It's work. Baseball shouldn't break it. And Rob Manfred, stupid dumbass, trying to figure a way to F that up. Stupid dumbass. And we'll get to your dumbass later on. You're still not off the hook because every time I turn on the radio, you've said or done something even dumber than you. You can't get any worse than you already are. So Rob Manfred, you are not off the hook. We'll catch your dumb ass in a minute, okay? So I don't need an extra game. I don't need an extra playoff team. Stop babying these grown-ass men. If your team is not good enough to make the playoffs, I don't need an extra team so that 12 other teams can have some realistic chance that could go ahead and make
I know
the
we
playoffs.
were only 7-9 this year, but gosh darn it, we made the playoffs.
Because if we have this current format, the Dallas Cowboys would have been in the playoffs.
and let me
who cares?
And ask the Bears, ask the 2019-2020 Bears who the preseason is for. it's for the fucking players.
Thank you.
Because none of the players played in the preseason, and you saw the shit product on the field for the Bears for the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. And if they didn't have that shit product on the season, they probably might have made the playoffs this year.
Yes.
So ask those types of teams who the preseason is for. And let me just also say this about the XFL. The XFL fucked up with one big thing. They debuted the week after the Super Bowl.
Right.
That was too soon.
Too soon.
Way too soon. You needed to time it out so that football was gone for a month. At least a month. And guys and gals were like, oh, man, I know we got basketball. I'm not much, you know how these you know how some of these people in this country are, I'm
basketball for Wilson. It's not like it was with Michael and
a bunch of black guys. Yeah, a bunch of black guys.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. So there's always this sentiment of like, I'm not a huge fan of basketball, and hockey doesn't do it for me. But I love football. And if you would have gotten those people either way. But what I'm saying is you might have gotten a little bit more general fan base if you just decided to wait a month. But since you did it directly after the fucking Super Bowl, nobody missed football.
No.
Nobody was like, oh, it's been so long since I've seen football. You just saw an amazing Super Bowl, and you just saw an amazing playoffs.
And I'm glad you brought that up because, like, no offense, that could almost mess college football up too.
Exactly.
Because now that the XFL's done, here comes college football. And everyone's like, damn, it's more football. That's why
it's
the
football
AAF,
overload.
XFL, Arena League. Arena League was interesting. I thought that stuff was interesting.
Yeah, it's a different game.
It's a different game.
Yeah.
But, dude, I don't need another FL.
No.
I just don't. Give me college football for what it is.
Yeah.
Give me the NFL for what it is. Nick Daniel right now just said, I don't like the new playoff schedule. A whole division can get in. I don't like it either.
Yeah.
Dude, you had a first round bye. I mean, the first team got a bye.
Mm-hmm.
The second best team got a bye.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for years now. So now you are going into a vote, and one of these isn't. I think they're saying that the CBA or the Players Union are going to vote yes for the extra game,
but no
for the playoff. Yeah. Which is gonna piss the owners off, and now we're gonna get locked up. And now it's a lockup.
And remember, they were already talking. Remember they were sending memos to the players last year, like, dude, get ready for a fucking lockout. Start saving your money now because we don't know what's gonna happen in 2 years. So, yeah, man. I mean, listen. The NFL is not in a position where they need to make changes.
No,
if you review the numbers of this year, the NFL has never done better. And don't listen to what anybody tells you. Don't listen to what Donald Trump tells you or anybody who hates the NFL so much that they want to fucking talk about how it's dying. The NFL is not dying. The NFL is growing right now. And the thing about the NFL that I think people right now are, I guess, I think the most enticing thing about the NFL is the fact that every game of the 16-game season is so fucking valuable.
Right.
That during that 17-week stretch, you cannot get caught slipping. Because if you do, and you're the Bears or you're anybody last year who had a bad 3 or 4 game stretch, you're not going to make the playoffs.
Right.
Simple as that. And if you are going to make the playoffs, it's because you busted your ass for the other games. Adding the extra game to me isn't a huge deal. The only reason why I'm not a huge fan of that is because I'm not sure if I read this, but they said they weren't going to adjust the preseason schedule, so they would make it a total of 18 weeks.
Oh my god!
So I'm not a huge fan of that. I think what you should do is one of those preseason games can come out. What I would say is let's make it 3 preseason games. Give the starters 2 of those games. And then if you want. I mean, listen, dude, people act like we don't have scrimmages throughout the offseason. They do. There's 2 teams can call each other up and say, hey, I'm going to come to Houston and we're going to have a practice together. Are you okay with that?
And 9 times out of 10, they're going to say it's okay.
They're saying it's okay. And,
right.
There's some fights that happen. And, there's some weirdness that happens. But you can do that, right? But to say that you need 4 preseason games and then 17 regular season games,
and then maybe an extra throw in for a bye week,
and then with the extra guys making or the extra teams making the playoffs, it waters down the product. It was the same thing we talked about with the changes to the MLB. it was like half the team making the fucking playoffs. It just doesn't make sense that way.
Right.
You have to have the regular season mean something. And the reason why the NFL season is so fucking fun is because for 16 weeks, you are glued to your television.
Yep.
You have to be invested for the 17 weeks of a full season. And now when you have 17 games, I mean, I'll be honest with you, there's no reason to be really that mad about 17 games. You know, the one thing that I will say is that player safety right now has to be on the top priority.
Right.
And every single season we're losing more and more marquee guys, more and more season injuries. And I think there's ways for us to adjust that has nothing to do with the rules, that has nothing to do with the playoff format. Like, we've got to figure something out here where we can, like, I think kickoffs, punts, there's something we can do there. Do I think we should do it right now? No, but let's start looking into it. I'm okay with that. But, you know, at the end of the day, dude, the NFL's doing fine. Anybody who tells you that the NFL needs money or the NFL this is just another example of greedy billionaires
pretty much
more
that's
money.
all it is.
And, you know, I hate to bring this back to politics, but it's like, dude, at the end of the day, I'm sick and fucking tired of billionaires buying their way into support, because all you see now on Facebook and on Twitter and on Reddit is these people who don't know any better, who don't fucking realize what the fuck they're talking about, supporting the NFL and supporting the owners because they love the NFL so much, not realizing that this deal's fucking the players and this deal is not good for the players. And who do you watch every fucking Sunday and Monday and Thursday?
Yeah, exactly. No one's out there like, man,
can't wait to see fucking...
That Robert Kraft is out there putting in some work.
Man, Virginia McCaskey looks fucking great in that box. Man. Like, who gives a fuck about McCaskey?
Virginia McCaskey sitting up there at 9-3. I'd hit it.
There was
damn right.
There was
Hell
an owner.
Right. Get out of here.
I want to say it was Stan Kroenke. I hope it was Stan Kroenke because he's such a fucking douchebag.
Yeah.
But there was an owner that came out. There was an owner that came out that was like, oh well, there's no way we can sustain this type of growth in the NFL. We're just paying too much up overhead costs, and oh my god, people are forgetting I have to pay for the stadium. Motherfucker, you're a billionaire. You don't lose any money out of this. You make money, dude. Like, what? You're complaining that you're not gonna make you're gonna subtract $50 million a year from your profits? Go fuck yourself, man. Right. I don't care.
When you just brought in $3.2 billion.
Listen,
dude.
Listen, dude. We are a country. We are democracy, guys. Like, again, we are a fucking country that values the opinions of rich people over the values and the opinions of regular fucking people like us. You know, at the end of the day, this is, again, dude, it fucking bothers me so much, especially with this, you know, it's an election year, and I'm just so fucking annoyed by politics around this time of year. And one of the reasons why I'm so annoyed by it is because everybody fucking capping for their candidate. And it's like, bro, your candidate doesn't give a fuck about you, and there's only a handful that do, and the handful that do are fucking being fought tooth and nail by these other billionaires so that they can save themselves money. Mike Bloomberg, the only reason people are saying he's spending couple $100 million on just trying to make sure that we defeat Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Dude, this motherfucker literally has billions of dollars, and the only reason why he entered the race is because Bernie Sanders is going to make him lose $3 billion. So what's better? I know me and you, we're not mathematicians, you and I. We're not known to be mathematicians, but I know that a couple $100 million is losing a couple $100 million is better than losing $3 billion, right?
Right.
So if you're Mike Bloomberg, you're not some fucking dude going, we need to make this country better. Donald Trump, you're bad, my man. Even though, by the way, like 5 or 6 years ago, these dudes were buddies, and Mike Bloomberg was all at the fucking Trump Towers and staying at Mar-a-Lago, and these guys were all buddies, and Bill Clinton was buddies with him.
It's a huge clown
just
show,
a whole circle jerk of these people who are all in cahoots with each other and playing this game for all of us guys. And this is exactly what the owners are doing with the NFL right now.
I'm so mad at myself because that Democratic National whatever that BS was on Wednesday night. Yeah. And I meant to put up a status saying Rangers versus Blackhawks better than the Democratic National, because who cares?
You didn't miss much, man.
I know I didn't, because who cares, dude? Every time I feel like every time I go home or every time I turn on the radio, I got to hear about this crap. Dude, I don't care. Like, people are cutting each other by the throat and losing friends over presidential. As a matter of fact, not to veer too much off sports, I seen this guy yesterday walking to a Portillo's in Niles with one of those "Make America Great," whatever the hat is.
Ballsy dude, man. Ballsy dude.
That was I was like, hey, that's a balls move, bro. But hey,
Naperville's not a bad area to do that in. He wouldn't do that in. He wouldn't do that on the south side.
All I said was, brother, Godspeed.
Yeah, stay safe.
And I move on because I don't participate.
You might be safe in Naperville, but don't go too far south, my man.
It's so funny because I'm so opinionated when it comes to sports, but then when people want to come to me in politics, I was like, dude, do you really want me to sit here and talk to you about the government?
I'm opinionated.
Because I'll be more than happy
exactly.
to tell you what I feel
That's
about
the problem
the
is
the same
we're not going to be talking the same conversation.
Punk ass. Okay, let me go ahead and vent off because it's February and my sticker is due, and punk ass Pritzker is making me pay $150. That's almost 200% more than what it was when I first started paying the sticker for Giacomo out there. Bullshit.
Yeah.
You can't tell me, as much as I don't like cussing on this show, that fires me up more than anything in this world. Where's that extra $50 going, JB?
And where's all that?
Where's it going,
where's
brother?
Where's all the weed money? Where's all the weed money? Come on, we made all that money on weed, and now you're gonna bump up prices. And Pritzker's already talking about bumping up taxes. Like, man, we can't win. We can't win.
Yeah. So do you really want me to talk about government? No, you don't.
And then people
because
get mad.
I will clown show.
And then
every one of them ass. I don't care what you represent.
Yeah.
Left, right, up, down, blue, red, whatever.
Yeah.
Don't like not a damn one of them unless you were Jesse Ventura. And then let's talk.
Jesse Ventura. You know what I will say is, I'm not a right-wing guy, but it's hard to argue with right-wing people when they talk about some people like fucking JB Pritzker or some of these people who fucking, say what you want to hear when they need your vote, and then when they're in office, they're just fighting for themselves. And it's simple and plain, dude. Right now, we're in a tough position politically because there's, I do have opinions on politics, but the problem is, like you said, we're not going to be having a conversation about politics. At the end of the day, we're going to get into a deeper conversation here because you're not ready for that conversation about the banks and corporations,
because the truth
handouts and who's going to whose wedding and who's giving money to who. You don't want to talk about that shit, and that's why I'm saying, and that's why it's such a weird thing. And to stray this back into sports a little bit, that's why it's so weird to see people who are so adamantly pro these billionaires, right? Like I will never, there's a lot of people right now saying, well, if you're a businessman, you're going to be trying to expand your business, right? I get that to a certain extent, right? You are, you are a business and you're trying to expand, but when you're making money hand over fist, and now you're telling me, well, I'm not making enough money. I need to make more because I pay so much in this and I pay so much in taxes and I pay, we have to maintain. Then you know what, dude? That's your fucking problem. That's your problem. I have nothing to do with it. No one put a gun to your head
and said, hey.
Yeah, go buy a team.
Go buy and I'm glad you brought Stan Kroenke's douche dumb ass up. Yeah. No one told you to move that team to Los Angeles.
Yeah. He's already complaining about the taxes and
Did you do a little research, or did you let Jerry World and all these other idiots come? Mm-hmm. You're gonna tell me you're gonna tell me you couldn't build the same state of the art facility in St. Louis? You're gonna tell me they couldn't find a strip of land up in there in St. Louis where you could? Hell, there was 2 Busch stadiums at some point. Yeah. You could tear down the dome you're at now and put it where the old Busch Stadium is at. Come on, dude, you're an idiot. You let Roger Goodell's stupid dumb ass convince everybody that Los Angeles needed football where it has failed twice now, and all of a sudden you let that idiot think that it was supposed to be over there.
Now they have 4 fucking teams.
Oh, my God, it's ridiculous. Yeah. So, Stan Kroenke, guess what? I don't feel sorry for you.
Me either.
And I'm really not going to feel sorry when your team goes suck
extra
coming up
fuck
soon.
you to Stan Kroenke, because the reason why he moves from St. Louis is because he wanted taxpayers to pay for that fucking bill for that arena. Or for that stadium. And they looked at him and they go, motherfucker, you're the owner. Why are we paying for this shit? And he wanted to put it like 40 miles from downtown or something, I heard. So, yeah, no, I'm never going to be capping for billionaires, dude. Let's leave the NFL where it's at. And let's just, dude, let's take I think what makes sports so fun, and this is controversial, I think what makes sports so fun is because you don't have it for a lot of the year.
Right.
So, like baseball, I wasn't like, oh my God, baseball. Like last year I loved baseball. Don't get me wrong, every single year I'm excited. But the added excitedness of the offseason and that my team got better and oh my God, we made moves and oh my God, we're there. All we have to do is play now. There's so much fun in that. And I think we should leave that. You don't see MLB getting fucking XLB or you know what I'm saying? Like there's no such thing as that because we know
What's
that this
the worst
is
that they do? The World Baseball Classic where a bunch of guys can represent their country.
And I like that. That's cool. But that's at the end of the day, that's like the hockey, the Olympics and hockey.
Yeah.
You know, it's fun because it's like, okay, we take a pause during the season, we do this thing. But dude, if you're talking about a whole new league just to fill me up for a couple months of off season, no, I'm good.
No, I'm extra straight. Right.
straight.
That's why I'm not oh my God, the XFL. But you know what though? You said something earlier and it made me think, and I'm gonna say this, and there's a good chance that I'm gonna clip this, and I promise that I'm gonna do a clip show. My house is officially just where I sleep because I'm gone from 8:30 to midnight almost damn near every day, and it could be a lot. But I promise you that I'm going to clip this, and this is what I'm going to say. You said something earlier that made me think of just me being an everyday regular guy that I assume that I'm really good at talking sports and everything. But what I can't stand in life is when people that are above you that have never been in the weeds tell you what you should and shouldn't do.
Yeah.
And in my personal opinion, I think it's the worst in restaurants. When you work in a restaurant,
food industry is terrible with that.
It is terrible. You get these guys, these CEOs, these big time managers.
Never spent a day in the kitchen.
Has never spent a day in the kitchen. Has never washed one dish.
Never done one lunch rush.
Has never done
dinner rush.
Maybe you should do this. Maybe you should do that. Maybe do that.
I don't like the way that you're.
Or my favorite is, well, we tried this in this place and this is how it worked. You're not in these weeds.
Yeah.
When you come in these weeds, then you can come talk to me.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about this nonsense with the NFL. These owners are like, well, maybe we should play. No, you don't know what it's like to play a 16-game grueling season.
You don't even know what real work looks like anymore, bro. These motherfuckers have been rich for so long, they don't even know what real work looks like anymore.
We help you collect the checks because without us, you're nothing.
There's no checks.
There's no checks.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's a full circle, but no offense to the NFL, nobody's watching the owners.
Yeah.
Nobody's watching the owners.
Nobody comes
That's just like at a restaurant. Nobody goes and says, well, I wonder where Tom's at, man.
Where's the GM? Is the GM here today?
The GM's here today? No, they're coming for the food.
No, my server is the one and the fucking cooks and the expo guys. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So my ode to all of this, please listen to your players. Please listen to your cooks.
Yeah.
Take 5 minutes. Put your ego earmuffs off for 5 seconds and actually listen to the information of what we saying.
Yeah.
What's the CEO of Virgin Mobile? Is it Richard Branson?
Richard Branson, yeah.
I would love to have worked for this guy.
Yeah, he's a guy in the trenches. Yeah.
Right. Because what did Richard Branson say? He said the one thing about failing businesses in the NFL needs to go ahead and listen. The owners deuce on the managers.
Yeah.
No, okay. The owner deuces on the GM.
Right.
The GM deuces on the managers.
The shift
managers. The managers deuce on the employees.
Shift leaders.
So then who do the employees deuce on? The people that's making everybody money.
Yeah.
But if the owner shows praise and promise to your GM and it keeps passed down, it's a lovely full circle. Yeah. And that's what's wrong with just us nowadays. Everyone that makes all this big money acts like they know everything. No, brother, you don't.
No.
Come to me in these weeds, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. Because it ain't plush and rainbows. You can tell me whatever you want. You can think all you want that this is a great idea. I'm telling you it's shit.
Yeah,
I'm telling you right now, it's not going to work.
One of the best examples of that is I used to work at a California Pizza Kitchen, the one in Schaumburg, right across from Woodfield, and they were a busy fucking location.
Oh, I know where you're at. Okay,
really,
I know where you're
really
at.
busy because they were across from Woodfield. And I started working there when I was working with the White Sox. I was working with the White Sox during home games, and then whenever they were on the road, I would have 6 to 10 days off. Sometimes, so I was like, let me go get a servant job. So I go to the CBK, and my first 3 months there, it was the typical guy who got a degree and then worked in operations at some corporate location, and they said, how about you? Why don't you go run Schaumburg? Why don't you go run a restaurant? And this guy had no fucking clue what was going on. No fucking clue. I mean, if you wanted to talk numbers, if you wanted to talk inventory, fine. He knew a few things. But when it came down to it, if you can't run food with your team, if you can't fucking be back there if they're shorthanded, if you can't be out on the floor talking to the customers, you're not worth your weight.
Nope.
And that first 3 months I was there, that guy, he eventually moved on to another location. And lo and behold, this other guy, he was actually just a manager at another location, became a general manager. He started in the kitchen 20 years ago. And lo and behold, he shows up, and all of a sudden the restaurant's flowing like fucking nothing. And no, there's no issues. The guy's at Expo. He's running food with us. He's in the trenches with us.
Because he knows the game. He's been in the weeds.
And he also understands nobody's gonna respect you if you're not in the trenches with us. Like, dude, if you're not with me shooting in the gym, then
I don't value your opinion.
I don't value your opinion. And don't try and tell me how to do my fucking job. You know, at the end of the day, and that's what I like about my job right now, because my manager's like, listen, I haven't recruited in 10 years, so I know you do what you do. I'm here to support you, and that's why it works so well. So yeah, dude, that's one of the parallels that sort of. It doesn't matter where you're in, sports, food, anywhere. That's there.
Before we get to baseball, Nathaniel says that quarterback injuries were bad last year. Exactly, and we're talking about adding an extra game to put an extra 4.5 million. Come on,
and
dude,
remember some of the quarterbacks that were playing last year too, where you're looking like, oh my god, this guy's playing. Why is he playing? And then, oh my god, Gardner Minshew has 3 decent games. Is he the franchise quarterback of Jacksonville? Has Jacksonville got their franchise?
Bro.
Remember that? Remember those 3 or 4 weeks we were here doing the show, and we were like, wow, okay, Gardner Minshew's all right, but
Minshew mania with the porno mustache.
ESPN's talking about this dude like he's fucking Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
And that just shows you that we have a shortage of good quarterbacks, and at the same time, you have a shortage of players in the league right now, dude. Like we're not that deep.
Yeah, Luke Kuechly that's retiring at 28.
Yeah, and that's gonna happen more often now.
I mean, there's no diss to Luke for obvious reasons, but look at it like this. Remember Robert Smith, the former really good running back of the Minnesota Vikings?
Yep.
27, he was done. He was like, nah, man, I don't want to hurt my knees and I like that. I'm out.
And over the last 5 years,
and he's been doing a great job with ESPN.
He does a great job for them too.
For college football. Yeah. So, I mean, you want to keep doing that? Okay, but when the NFL is out because you wanted to be greedy, hey, you call it what it is. Stevens let me know that the Rangers have taken a 3-2 lead on San Jose. Okay. So we're going to keep an eye on that. And I just got a notification that the Wilder Fury card is underway.
So there's like 4 fights, so I think maybe we'll be good. We'll be good to get home.
Yeah, because we're almost done here. Let's go into baseball a little bit because so I guess this happened during the week. More players, and as much as we've been beating this whole Houston Astros thing into the dirt, it just feels like it just keeps getting resurrected. So I don't know if you heard earlier in the week, but Rob Manfred did the stupidest thing he could have and opened his stupid ass mouth.
Just shut up, Rob.
And then Rob Manfred said if all of these guys are going crazy over a hunk of metal.
Oh my God.
So of course, John Lester came out and said, well, if it's a hunk of metal to you, take your stupid ass name
it's called the Commissioner's Trophy, you fucking
idiot. You're an idiot. So do what I asked you to do. I think I said on Facebook. I'm not sure if I said on the show last week. Step down.
Yeah, please.
It's time for you to go. It's time to go. I have never seen a commissioner screw something up so bad. Because, here's what kills me, though. What kills me is everyone's like, well, everyone keeps asking the question, well, can you strip the title? You really can't at this point. There's nothing you can do about it. They're the 2017 champs.
You could strip them, but nobody else would get the championship. So what's the point?
So what's the point?
What's the point?
You're not going to take back the rings. You're not going to take back the bonus. You're not going to do anything.
And you're not going to give it to the Dodgers or the Yankees. So
the problem is that Rob Manfred didn't show balls.
Right.
Rob Manfred, when you listen to all these players talk, the reason why they're so upset is because Helen Keller could have told you without them coming and you giving them immunity to get the full lowdown on what really happened, that they were cheated, because before you gave them immunity, you suspended AJ Hinch for a year.
Yeah.
Then you suspended the GM for a year, and then they were subsequently fired. So how could you suspend them for a year if you didn't know that they were involved in something?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, all the names started coming up. No offense to Rob Manfred, but I would have fought the MLB PA. Yeah. I would say, dare me. I dare you to dare me. We will go to war.
Yeah.
Because Altuve's bitch ass, Bregman's bitch ass,
Correa's.
Oh
my God. Correa.
Yeah.
Oh my
Speaking
God.
of the idiot number 2, 3 dumbass, all would have been suspended because they are the Mo, Larry, and Curly of all of this. And if Rob Manfred would have showed some type of balls, he would have suspended them for a year and go to war with any lawyers, MLB, PA, or whoever you got to. I would have went to war.
Yeah.
I would have went to war. And this is not me. And there's another thing, too. I wish that everyone on my Facebook would stop trying to come to me like I'm talking that I'm some crybaby Yankees fan. It's not even about the Yankees anymore.
No, it's not.
It's about the principle. So try and listen because you might learn something.
It's about baseball. They've ruined baseball.
I don't care if it was done to the Yankees, Dodgers, Mets.
They cheated the league.
Let's
Sox, make it clear.
They cheated the league.
Yeah.
And to that point, many teams were affected. One got affected twice by the BS that happened.
Yeah.
And heads needed to roll. If you could suspend Alex Rodriguez for a whole year on a witch hunt, which in my opinion are hypothetical facts, there was no cold hard facts. You just assumed, and A-Rod didn't want to embarrass the Yankees any more than he probably did, and said, I will just take the suspension. If you have the balls to do that to A-Rod, then you needed to do that to the ball, or had the balls to do it to Major League Baseball's golden child and Jose Altuve, because nothing would have been sweeter than to see that POS go down for cheating. Because if you think that baseball fans are that damn stupid that you were trying to hold a tattoo and your wife didn't like when Carlos Correa ripped off your jersey, tell your wife to sit down and shut up because it's none of her business.
Yeah.
How about that?
And also,
so piss off for trying to insult fans like myself, Mac, and every other diehard baseball fan with that sorry-ass story, and piss off to Rob Manfred that you didn't have a pair of balls to suspend these jackasses, because that's what all the players are saying.
Yeah.
If it was any one of us, we would have had the book thrown at us. But what? Because it's the Houston Astros? Because Jose Altuve is a 5-time All-Star, 1-time MVP, batting champion. I don't give a rat's monkey ass about your resume. You know what you can add on to it? Cheater. Yeah. How about that?
We can add an asterisk to your whole fucking...
asterisk to your whole sorry-ass career. And I hope to God you bat 260. I hope to God you bat 260.
And what did Nick Markakis said? He said, I hope they get... what did he say?
They all need a beating.
They all need a beating.
They all need an ass whooping.
He's right, man.
A WWE-style Royal Rumble Houston Astro ass whooping. And the only way that's going to happen is when you go out to the field. Oh, and by the way, Rob Manfred, Mr. No Balls, now you issued out a warning to anyone so there can be no retaliation, so they just got away cheating for free?
Yeah.
Step down. You needs to step down as of 2 weeks ago. Punk, you's a bitch. How about that? Trevor Bauer FTW, because he's right. You're a bitch.
And I
a
love
whole bitch.
I love what Aaron Judge said too, which he was like, he was a little bit more respectful, but he was like, dude, I'm not, they said, well, we noticed that you had deleted one of your congratulatory tweets to Jose Altuve. He said, yeah, because he didn't work for it. And I love what he said, man. I think, the biggest thing is the insulting thing, right? Like, you've insulted the league, and you've ruined the reputation of this league in general. Now these fans on the outside are looking at the MLB as if it's this, oh my God, what a mess that fucking league is right now. And in reality, that's not it. It's just the Houston Astros are cheaters.
And somewhere Gary Bettman's like, thank God
I know. And
because you want to talk about a commission that many people couldn't stand. Dude, diehard hockey fans.
I'm sorry, but
hate Gary Bettman with a passion.
Is Bud Selig? Did he pass away? He passed away, right?
Nah, Bud Selig's
He's
alive.
Okay.
Well.
Yeah, I was gonna say Bud Selig's probably looking around like, man, I'm glad I didn't have to do that shit. Because I would say this about Bud Selig, he was never. Let's be real about what Bud Selig was. He was the owner of the Brewers, okay?
Yeah.
And he was always aligned with the owners, so he got a lot of flack for that. But one thing I will say about Bud Selig was that, he was real. He was a real guy.
Yep.
And I think I valued that, and it was hard to value it when he was there, and you didn't value it as much until you saw Manfred. And Manfred was only put into this role. He was cookie cutter for this role because of how well he speaks, and he does a good job in the media, and he can always talk his way out of a mess. And it's so fun. It's so funny to see. It's so funny to see just him falling into this hole. And remember, there was players who came out and said, props to Rob Manfred. Oh my God, props to Rob Manfred. And all he did was fucking to put his foot in his mouth for 2 or 3 weeks in a row, and now everyone and their mom is saying fuck Rob Manfred. So, dude, all I'm going to say is about baseball is I'm sick and tired of this mentality that let's get over it. It's over now.
Yeah, I'm
man.
sick of that too.
Let's play baseball.
But
it works, man.
Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame because Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. What he did isn't as bad as the Houston Astros did. Shut up.
Shut up.
Idiots. I swear, idiots. Pure idiots.
I'm trying to put this Dan the Hangman Hooker versus Paul Felder fight back on. So,
okay, cool.
Sorry about that.
All right, so I want to get into a quick division. We got a few minutes left.
Yeah.
So
hold on, let me before we do that, who you got, Wilder or Fury tonight?
Wilder.
You got Wilder tonight?
I got Wilder tonight, man. It's something about rematches that don't favor
the champ.
Well, I mean, respectively, they're both champs.
That's true. They're gonna unify. It would be
boxing?
There's too many belts,
dude.
This whole unification.
When I was growing up in boxing, I knew that there were 3 titles,
and
most heavyweight champions had all 3.
Yeah.
The WBO, IBF, and WBA.
Yep.
Evander Holyfield, 3 titles. Mike Tyson, 3 titles.
And it was unilateral. Unilateral. If you had all 3, you were the undisputed
champ. That's all I knew.
Yeah.
So when the heavyweight championship was on the world, when George, 50-year-old Foreman, somehow beat Michael Moore, it was 3 title belts.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden it's Vladimir Klitschko's putting up the WBO and IBF. But then here comes Sergey Kovalev going again. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought Klitschko was the heavyweight champion of the world. So then let's fast forward today. What is Wilder? The WBC and IBF? And now
IBF,
and now what you call it is the IBF. Come on, just unify the titles.
Technically speaking, I believe Wilder has 2 of the more higher ranking ones, but they still consider Fury the unilateral, what they call, I guess, unilateral champion because he has more. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting because Wilder, he's coming in like 40 pounds lighter than Fury, dude. Fury came in heavy. Fury came in, if I'm not mistaken, 270, and I think Wilder came in like 240 something. So
As long as Wilder didn't lose that power, that could be
and that's the thing about
Wilder.
That's the thing about Wilder is he never loses his power, whereas Fury can lose some of his, because let's remember, Fury relies a lot on movement, and when you're heavy, it's fucking hard to move.
Yep.
I'm just telling you, I consider myself pretty freaking athletic, but once you get a couple of rounds in you, that's tough. And we saw it in the last fight. Remember, he was dominating that fight until what, the last second to last round when Wilder knocked him down and ultimately not out, which I still would debate a little bit about whether or not that was a knockout or a knockdown. I still think that was a knockout. I think if you count it legitimately, he was down for 10 seconds. But, I'm very excited for the fight. I also have Wilder, but I'm thinking right now, because again, you have to start to think about what's next. If Wilder wins, then you have to do the Anthony Joshua thing and make that happen as soon as possible. But if Fury wins, who knows? Maybe we do a third one. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm going to make an executive decision.
Please,
let's
go ahead.
Let's hold the NL West to next week.
Let's do it. Yeah, I'm okay with that too, because I don't want to rush through it either.
Yeah,
let's
and
get
on
some
top of that, I feel like we've done a very good emotional show here today. Freaking every time Rob Manfred's name gets mentioned on the show,
until baseball starts, we're going to be obsessed.
On my mama, dude, it boils my blood.
Yeah.
Again, dude, it has nothing to do with the Yankees. I have Facebook friends that do that. It pisses me off. Yeah. Let's stop focusing. Okay, I'm a homer. What do you want me to do? I love the Yankees. I like rooting for them. I don't like seeing my team cheated. Yeah. I didn't know that was such against the law. Like, I'm just supposed to sit back and well,
it is what it is.
That's just how the cookie
crumbles. Yeah.
I guess I'll just have to leave it alone and shut up. You're idiots.
And that's also what we do, man. Like, if you don't know us by now, then what we do is we talk shit. Like, dude, if you don't know we talk shit, then stop watching.
But Rob Manfred is not free. I swear, until he steps down,
I have a sneaky suspicion, Nick. I have a very sneaky suspicion that this week is going to be PR mania for the MLB.
Oh.
It is going to be Rob Manfred on every fucking, pardon my interruption, in every fucking show talking, because he's going to say, even his apology was super lame. Like, I realized what I did when I had defamed our championship and called it a piece of metal. No, dude, what you were trying to do is you were trying to cat for the Astros, and in turn, you gave up your morals. You gave up what you felt was right for the fucking league. And honestly, what this was, and I'll be honest with you, Nick, it was only to make the league look better. It was only so because, again, you have so many of these casual fans who are looking at the league like, dude, this league is in shambles right now. And he just tried to cat for the league, and it didn't work out.
And while you bring up your lame ass rules, the 3 minimum batter rule,
like, get out of here,
oh my God, now you're trying to do the same thing to NFL and make this reality TV show on. So New York Yankees, or no, I think they're going to be the best team in the AL. So I'm not going to throw Houston in there. Give me somebody else.
Throw Kansas City. Give it to Kansas City.
Nah, dude. You know what? I'll give it to y'all.
All right.
Chicago White Sox. You finished with the second best record in the league.
Yes.
So you have your choice between Tampa Bay, the Indians.
Okay.
Who's in the West?
Well,
F Houston.
Yeah. Give us Oakland. Give us Oakland.
Yeah. Right. Because, who else is in the AL West?
Give us Texas. Give us Texas. We'll say
Oakland,
Texas is
Oakland,
surprising
all right,
year.
So Texas.
Texas is
Who would you like to play?
Let's run the numbers.
After much consideration, we have decided that we'll take on the Cleveland Indians because we know them best.
We know them best, yeah.
Oh, right. It's worse than everyone flipping about LeBron taking all that time to say he was going to Miami. But you're okay with baseball and their reality pick-em TV show?
Yeah, no.
God, Manfred, step down. You're an idiot.
And whoever gave you that idea, this is the most important thing. If you're going to take anything away from this, Rob, I know you're watching, because I know you're going to catch wind of this. If you take anything out of this, fire whoever told you to do what you were doing over the last few weeks. Fire them yesterday.
Yes.
Because you did a good job to start off, and even guys like us who didn't like you were giving you credit.
Yes.
And even guys in the league were giving you credit. And whatever the fuck happened in that meeting room, whatever it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, whoever was fucking convincing you that this was a good idea, fire them. Simple. And this Felder and Hooker fight is fucking amazing right now. We missed a lot of it, but it's the third round.
And the Rangers just took out the San Jose Sharks. Igor Shesterkin,
wow,
future Vezina goaltender award winner, 9-1 as Rangers goaltender, should be 10-0, but hey.
We'll take it.
Beggars can't be choosers. We'll take the 9-1. That now puts us. Hey, as a matter of fact, if Steven's watching, before we go, because I don't feel like checking myself, Steven, is Toronto beating Carolina? This is very important.
Because you could take over the.
It will put us 2 points behind going into the next week.
Oh, wow.
It'll put us 2 points behind.
Okay.
Yeah, screw it up.
Check it out. Yeah, check it out for us, Steven. And if not, guys, by the way, while we have some time and we're going to be checking out soon, next week we're at Reps. So
45 states for Igor the Great.
Wow. And all he did was stop. I think he stopped like 30. I think he stopped like 30 of his first 31 against the Hawks.
Okay,
no,
like they're not beating him, dude. Freaking Toronto sucks.
I was gonna say Toronto's
Hey, how's firing Mike Babcock doing for you, Toronto?
All for a principle too, which is
all
so
over
stupid.
principle. Yeah. Austin Matthews might be out there with 47 goals or 44 goals or whatever it is with David Pasternak, but dude, Frederick Anderson couldn't stop a cold if you
all
wanted
they need is
to.
a goalie, which is nuts, and they can't.
Hey, we got one though.
Yeah, and if you want one, you can call the Blackhawks. We've got 2 that might help you. But yeah, guys, we're at Reps next week.
I swear, dude, you were idiots, dude.
We're at Reps next week, so come check us out at Reps, Rolling Meadows, 3200 West Kirchhoff Road in Rolling Meadows. We're gonna definitely do the NL West next week. So come check us out. We'll talk about the Wilder Fury aftermath. We'll talk about the week in sports, and then more than likely start to get into some draft stuff. Maybe start looking at some prospects here or there.
Freaking Rangers buttered up Carolina for the Maple Leafs and
all they had to do.
Frederick Anderson sucks my balls.
He had one job, Frederick.
He had one flipping job. It wasn't that hard. I bet you he was in net tonight too. Let me see.
Probably. And then guys. Check us out.
Frederick Anderson. Nice job, Dick. Freaking 46 shots. You give up 6 goals.
Oh my god.
And someone doesn't have the balls to take them out. Nobody? Toronto's not playing for anything? What are we doing?
They better be trade deadline sellers here.
Clowns,
and we'll probably end up talking trade deadline too because Blackhawks will probably end up trading some guys. I don't know about the Rangers anymore because I
don't think so either.
Boston got their guy, right? Boston got their winger, so they're not going to trade
they traded for Andre
Vasse or something like that.
Yeah,
but
something good.
So Boston, it looks like the Rangers will stay pat, and it looks like, honestly, the Blackhawks might stay pat too because they obviously barring Gustafsson because Gustafsson's a UFA, but it looks like Leonard's going to stay put. It looks like Corey Crawford's going to stay put, and it certainly looks like anybody else. Brandon Saad was in the conversation for Boston for a while until they got their guy. So looks like right now we're going to be looking at a pretty mild activity as far as our teams are concerned for the deadline. So we'll talk about that next week.
Look at this. Carolina had not one but 2 goalies go down.
Oh my goodness!
And Toronto still couldn't. But yeah, let's fire Mike Babcock over.
It was literally over a principal decision with his GM. Yeah,
stupid.
And Felder.
Thanks, Toronto.
Felder and Hookers, man. If you guys are
Thanks,
watching,
guys. Thumbs up.
If you're watching this Felder Hooker fight, you're in for an amazing fight. It's been amazing, and Felder, he has his eyes shut right now, and Hooker has something going on with his mouth. But
look at Jason trying to hate on my hat. Hey, don't hate on my hat, pimpin'. He said I got a stain on my head. Don't hate on my hat, pimpin'. Don't forget Tampa Bay's coming to Peter Slab.
Are they
Chicago this year? Believe that.
Did I read something wrong, or are the Bucks getting new jerseys next year?
Yes, we are.
Oh,
yes, we are.
Oh.
And I am too geeked. I hope to God it is some type of reminiscence of the old creamsicle jerseys. That's all I want.
Make them look good. Just make them look
good.
Use that color, but make them look good.
Everyone's been hating on our jerseys ever since we did the whole what looks like the alarm clock thing where Nike was trying to be all fancy with it.
Oh, you talk about our current jerseys. Color Rush? The Color Rush jerseys?
Our current jerseys. Our current jerseys where like all right, this is what they did. They made them to look digital clocks, so there's a way where the light hits them that the outline of the numbers would shine.
Oh,
but here's the problem.
Who?
Tampa Bay don't play in that many night games.
No, they don't.
So what was the point?
Yeah, that was not a thoughtful
we will play one Thursday night game.
Yeah,
and if you're lucky, we'll play Carolina on Thursday night game.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky, we might get a Monday night game against Pittsburgh Steelers. Great Monday night game. Come on, thanks guys. Thanks.
Good luck with that.
Thanks for that.
Fuck, man.
Freaking clownage.
Wrap us up, big fella. Man, this fucking fight is nuts right now.
Oh yeah. So Jason just asked us who we got, Wilder or Fury. I got Wilder.
I got Wilder too.
Yeah,
I think if it goes longer than like 4 or 5 rounds, I think Fury's in trouble, man. I think he clocked in like 270 something. He's in trouble because Wilder, dude, that dude's got a gas tank. When you talk about gas tank, because let's remember he was losing that first fight for fucking 12 rounds.
Yep.
And all he does is come and knock him out with a nasty 2-punch combo. And again, I saw it as a knockout, not a knockdown. So we're excited for that one.
Nathaniel said that hold on, I got his comment right here. He said the Bucks aren't the only ones getting new jerseys.
Yeah, I was going to say
the
there's
Browns,
like
Rams,
6
and
other...
somebody else.
So let me ask you: is it just going to be an additional alternate? Or are they going to completely change their jerseys? Because that's what I'm wondering. Because I hope they do it with the Bears. Honestly, I'm a little bored with the Bears jerseys. Like we could do something with the logo.
Right,
with the
dude.
jerseys,
It's just
just
blue.
navy and orange.
I hate when y'all come out with those Three Stooges ass.
The stripes, yeah.
Those things are
they tried that.
terrible.
They tried that this year with the 100-year anniversary because the Bears had a 100-year anniversary. They tried it this year, and fans were not exactly too happy about it. They were just, they looked at. First of all, let me just say something. You should never, ever, ever wear, let's say, a white jersey with your team color pants. Wear something, okay, like let's say, for example, the Bears. They either go with the white pants on the navy, that's fine, but then they'll go all white with the white pants and the white jerseys.
Right.
I'm okay with that. But this year they tried to mix and match where they had our socks are from this edition of and this is the pants are from the away pants, and these are the home jerseys, and we got the away helmets. It's like, dude, this isn't Madden, bro. Like we're not mixing and matching. Just make it look uniform, and that's what the fucking name is. It's uniform. So, oh my God, dude, this Felder and Hooker fight is amazing.
All right, guys. Fun show.
Yes,
I
sir.
will be clipping the show.
Yes, please. And
I promise I will clip. You're going to get the clippage of the most epic of all. I swear I want to do just like a whole me. Steve, this is what we're going to have to work on.
Okay.
I'm guaranteeing
Giving
you
them homework.
Between now and October when baseball's over with, we're going to do an entire recap clip show of me just dogging the crap out of Rob Manfred.
We got to.
For 6 months.
We got to.
And I swear I'll put it all over YouTube and everything. I'm just talking about a solid 30-minute clip show of me just clowning this complete dumbass because until he
gets fired, please get fired.
Whatever comes first.
Step down, please.
So either he steps down or
we just
it's
clown
6
him every
months.
single week.
I swear to God. I swear to God.
I actually hope he stays now so we can clown him for 6
I'm telling you, dude, it's going to be the greatest 30-minute clip show that you will ever put together. And it's just me in raw emotion. I don't do scripts.
No, we don't.
I do not do scripts.
All
this emotion that you get on this show is natural because I get easily mad when I sense BS, and I've been tripping for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And Rob Manfred has continuously sucked in the quicksand, and I will make sure that his whole head gets covered unless he says, okay, fine, I'm going to step down as commissioner.
Yeah. Which they're saying the main reason why he's reluctant to do that is because they don't know who would take over. Who cares? No one cares. No one cares. No one
Bring
cares.
in an interim. You're trying to tell me during the season you can't figure it out? You can't take a couple of interviews?
If you told me it was Pete Rose, I wouldn't care. I legitimately would be like, don't care.
Oh, yeah,
Fine.
we've been hearing about that one too. Yeah, let Pete Rose take over the game.
No, you know what they're saying now? They want what's the name of that dude? Oh, fuck. There's what's the name of that Boston legend? I don't know. There's
not
some,
David Ortiz.
No, it's like old. I'm talking
say.
about 70s, 80s. They want like this famous baseball player. No, because he took over. He was doing MLB PA stuff.
Hope you're watching. That's more genius.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't get that on other shows. You need a research guy to do that. We don't need that. Yeah. So yeah, we'll probably end up just ragging on Rob Manfred for the rest of the season because it's fun too. Like
ragging on Rob.
Go fuck yourself.
Yes, that would be the name
ragging
of the
on Rob. Ragging on Rob, baby. Write that down. Ragging on Rob.
There's so many notes on this piece of paper.
Rob's on the rag. I know. Yeah, we gotta start executing.
Hey! When I clip this will be the name of the clips. Like in this session of ragging on Rob. Yes! Genius! If you're watching the show, you are a part of history genius. Ragging on Rob. That's all I'm going to put on today's episode of Ragging on Rob. Nick goes off on Rob Manfred again. Yes.
Yet another rant from Felder. Oh, my God, dude. Hooker is on Queer Street right now. His mouth is wide open. I think something happened with his jaw. They're in round 5, dude. Felder has no business being in this fight right now. He's in New Zealand, in Hooker's home country, and Felder is taking it to him. You see that big? It's almost like he has a cotton ball in his mouth. They don't show it the right angle right now, but he's got his mouth wide open.
Don't they say usually that's when
if your mouth's wide open, it's your jaw or your sinus. But right now there's 3 minutes and 45 seconds. We might as well just see this out because this is probably, one of these guys is going to get a lightweight title fight here soon. So we'll see who it might be. But Felder, my God, 5 rounds with Dan Hangman Hooker, and he is taking it to him in this 5th round. I haven't been keeping score because we missed a lot of the second, but man, Felder is taking it to him right now with right hands, and Hooker looks like he's reeling. So I would be interested to see who wins this fight. But yeah, we don't have to delay the
inevitable.
What's
going on. All right, guys. Well, remember, check out our show on Spotify. Check us out on iTunes. Check us out on PodRiver.com. MacandBlack.com. Check out the website. Show us love. If you like hearing other great shows like this one, PodRiver.com is the one you want to go to. Miro, We Slow, Steve
Boss
Wiley,
the Boss has been good lately, man. Boss the Boss, I've watched it. They've been pretty good lately, so check it out, guys.
Yeah, and these bosses, are actually in the weeds as they climb up the ladder.
You know what, dude? I was literally just about to say that. If you want any better example of being in the fucking trenches and in the weeds with your people and understanding, most of these people that Miro talks to either came from a situation where they were dealing with managers who weren't in the weeds with them, or they're currently in a situation where they're in the weeds with their guys. And yeah, great show, Miro. And I want to have him back on so we could talk White Sox too. So selfishly, maybe he can come in next week. I'll put in a request right now, Steve. Maybe we can clip this out. I'll shoot Miro a message to have him come in next week so we can talk White Sox baseball.
Yes, sir. Ashley, I know you came in late. Once again, I am taking Wilder to beat Fury tonight. Especially if Wilder lost 15 pounds, 240. The man's probably, he's still, 6'7". And that's another thing about Wilder, too. I love when everyone's like,
so long.
Wow, Wilder doesn't have a real boxing. This man is out here knocking folks out. Dude. And you're going to really sit there and try and critique, his boxing style is very sloppy. Sloppy to be the heavyweight champion of the world. How about that, pimping idiots, dude? I'm telling you, dude. Dude, I swear, Americans just love to hate sometimes.
They do, especially
for the wrong reasons.
Can I be honest with you, Nick? There's a lot of subtle racism in that too. I don't even want to get into that, but people talking about how Fury, man, he's come back from so much. What an advert. They were talking about, oh man, how much has he come back from? Can I give you an idea of what Tyson Fury's life is like? He comes from a gypsy family. I know that they get persecuted pretty heavily
Right.
in the UK. He comes from a gypsy family. They were never poor. And he actually started boxing early and was rich early in his career. The problem with him is he got into a depression, and then he started kind of partying. And it's funny because now he found Jesus, and now he's sort of this face of the boxing world. And Deontay Wilder, all he's done is knock dudes out, be an entertaining guy, and be a good family man. And yet somehow he's still painted as this fucking villain. Nobody likes him. He's not a box. What Teddy Atlas once said, he's not a boxer's boxer.
Whatever that means.
Shut the fuck up, Teddy Atlas. Like, this dude, if you saw that Ortiz fight, he knocked out Ortiz with a forehead shot. Like, dude, stop. Watch the game and then talk to me about it.
Freaking clowns. All right. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
We'll have a new episode of Ragging on Rob, and that's the new segment for the baseball season. That's right. You guys are in history. All right. For Mac on for Steve, that's Mac on Black. See you guys next week at Reps. Peace.